No black cats, just straight facts.
Triple P certified.
Listen, we can talk about odds all day. It doesn't matter what the odds are. It matters what's gonna happen.
Welcome to the Parlay Pursuit. Off of another winning weekend, UFC Paris, Gane versus Spivak, where I was able to turn another profit, $33 into $660 on the 7-fight parlay. We'll get into it. We'll talk all about it. The card got mixed and matched and swooped all around. So if you followed our YouTube picks, maybe you should have hopped into the Patreon, but I don't even know if that would have helped you because so many fights dropped off. But if you tailed my picks, you probably would have won anyway because the fights that dropped off voided some parlays, but the parlay that made it. I was able to set it and forget it. I'm rambling. Dan, Alex, how are you?
I'm good. I had a pretty good weekend in terms of picks. Didn't really get a chance to watch it. Didn't really get a chance to bet it. Was out and about with family. Knew I wasn't going to be able to watch the fights. Didn't have too much action on the line. But yeah, great weekend. My Colorado Buffaloes showed you guys. I've been promising, I've been swearing my lock of the year, my lock of the century, my lock of the millennium is the Buffaloes to win over 3.5 games. Luke, do you know what that line has moved to since they just whooped up on TCU?
No, I don't. What is it?
5 games now. 5 games now. I'm already looking at that like a cash bet sheet. Now I'm just worried about, are we going to go to the national championship and is Travis Hunter going to win the Heisman?
Yeah, I mean, TCU was a 20-point favorite. I mean, that was definitely impressive to see Colorado get the win there. Dan, how was your weekend?
Not bad. I normally do not bet on football, especially college football, but boy, I cannot wait to fade the hell out of Colorado. I can't wait till they play some actual teams that aren't from these, Fugazi conferences. TCU, they're in the Big 12 now or whatever. They used to be in one of these loser conferences, small school, whatever. A total fluke. They gave up like 97 points. Total fluke. Can't wait to fade them. As far as what we're all here for, the UFC fights, broke even, pulled a Lukey CK, had way too much investment in Moises. Once he got sunk, I said, you know what? Why don't we do 185 on Cyril Gane? I bet 100. So to get back to even, 185 on Cyril Gane. Of course he won because, of course, he was going to win. We're back at normal. Now we can bet 100 next week and not feel bad about it. Everything's all good here in wherever I am. I'm not going to tell you.
You won. You won back your losses, which means you won.
Broke right even. So you don't lose anything, you win, as you said. Yes.
Well, nice. I'm glad you found your balls. You bet a measly $185. Hope if you lost it.
Hey, $285 in total. That's not nothing. That's not nothing.
That's not nothing. It's a lot of money. I mean, for sure. It's also like if you had to spend $285 on something, you would not think to do it. Like if all of a sudden you needed a new car battery or some shit and had to drop $285, you just would do it. You know what I mean? It's not like you would give it a second thought.
Sure.
That being said, that is a reasonable amount of money for you to bet on a Saturday. Like Alex, I wasn't really paying too much attention. I was watching the fights on my phone, but I did not need to rebuild at all. The parlays I made at the beginning of the day withstood till the end. And if you follow my open bet sheet and you tailed it, there weren't that many ones in there, but $33 bet paid $660. It was a 7-fight parlay. It ended up being, let's see, the exact parlay was Cavalcante, Basharat, Coroli. We'll get into that. The lone underdog, controversial win over Jocelyn Edwards, Nora Corioli. So a lot of people were saying every favorite one. I don't know. On my bet sheet, it showed Corioli as plus money and Jocelyn was a favorite. So I think one underdog won, and it was Nora Corioli. Cavalcante, Basharat, Corioli, Angie Lusa, Benoit Saint Denis, Manon Fiorot, and Cyril Gane. 7-fight parlay, $33 bet. $33 bet paid $660. Jesus. And we also had one running simultaneous to that, an $11 bet, a $396. And this one was the same first four: Cavalcante, Basharat, Corioli, Lusa, BSD, Benoit Saint Denis, Cyril Gane. But then instead of Manon Fiorot, it was identical to the 7-leg parlay, except for Manon Fiorot, we had Rose Namajunas. That was 11 to pay $396. So going into the co-main event, I was either going to go into the main event with a $660 bet set to cash if Gone won, or a $400-ish bet set to cash if Gone won. And yeah, watching Spivak walk to the octagon, watching them face off, everything that we talked about on the first episode where I said, look, the way Spivak loses is to guys like Gone. The way Gone loses is not to guys like Spivak. Everybody wants to sit there and say that talking point that Alex beat your ears to death with last week. Oh, if Francis Ngannou, 55 years old with one knee, can take down Cyril Gane, then what's Sergey Spivak going to do? Well, we saw what he's going to do. He's going to curl up into a little corner, do this, let himself get punched in the face a trillion times, and die. And that's exactly what he did. He got the stakes to heart. He's turned to dust. Cyril Gane is the alpha. Spivak is a nerd. He got put in the locker. He's the sub-nerd, right? He's like the bully's henchman. And the bully's henchman got sent running away crying. At the end of the day, at heavyweight, you better be a fucking Olympic level wrestler if you're going to go in there and say you're going to dominate anybody in wrestling for 5 rounds. Cyril Gane lost one position, one moment, 1 minute of 1 round in that Ngannou fight, and everybody has him written off as the worst wrestler ever. Yeah, then he went in there against the greatest of all time and pooped his little pants, and you know what I mean, got choked out. Whatever. Like, we can, both of those don't mean that a guy like Spivak, John Jones, Sergey Spivak is not. Francis Ngannou, Sergey Spivak is not. Thank you. Moving on. There's really nothing else to talk about in that entire card. I'll let Alex talk about his talking points. I know he wants to talk about Rose's finger. But the one talking point I do want to mention, besides Nora Corioli, is Benoit Saint-Denis. Benoit Saint-Denis is a stud. Ever since that time he fought Elizu Zaleski dos Santos or whatever, and he got beat up and literally didn't even get knocked down, but everybody was in their feelings about the fight not getting stopped. Ever since that fight, people have been writing this guy off, and ever since I've been betting on him, he looked so much bigger than Moises at the weigh-ins. If you were still on Moises by then, you have half a brain, because he was dwarfing Moises at the weigh-ins. And then he went in there and beat the shit out of little baby Moises. Moises, I'm going to call Moises the guy who loves to get his ass beat, because he loves nothing more than getting into a bad position and staying there. I thought jiu-jitsu was supposed to be self-defense. You didn't really defend yourself at all. I mean, I'm sick of these jiu-jitsu guys going in there and losing in jiu-jitsu ways, or being dominated on the ground and not even getting to a safe position. You're guard. You can't even get to guard. You can't even get to guard. Guard, the place you get to just to make sure you can defend yourself. If everybody was doing Rickson Gracie's method of jiu-jitsu, we would have no guys ever getting finished, submitted, or hurt. It would just be guys who lost by decision and guys who won by decision, because at the end of the day, Rickson Gracie's method is designed to at least keep you safe. Moises can't even keep himself safe in there. Guys like Muniz, Andre, can't even keep himself safe in there. So if you can't even keep yourself safe in there, I don't know what to tell you. Jiu-jitsu guys, it's not all it's cracked up to be. I saw Shane Gillis getting armbarred by Joe Rogan on Instagram, and I'm telling you right now, Joe Rogan is never getting me in an armbar. That's never me. All right, like, Joe Rogan, black belt, okay, never getting me in an armbar. Okay, nobody's getting me in an armbar. Armbars are for girls. That's why Ronda Rousey popularized the armbar. Oh, Dan, you're 2 jiu-jitsu classes in. Are you ever getting armbarred again?
I'm like 8 classes in, but you're right. I'm not going to get the armbar. It's not going to happen.
Joe Rogan ain't armbarring you.
No
way.
He's too old.
You do this. Oops. Oh, give him the arm. I'll give him the arm, and I'll still pull it out.
Seems pretty easy to me.
Make sure I got my essential oils, baby. I'll just make sure I roll up with my essential oils, and then none can escape. Anyway, I hate guys who get armbarred. Andre Muniz is a jiu-jitsu guy who got armbarred. These jiu-jitsu guys, they go in there and they get dominated on the ground. Now think about this, guys. It's a 5-minute round. They're so bad at jiu-jitsu, they can't even defend themselves for 5 minutes. I could defend myself for 5 minutes. Dan could defend himself for 5 minutes at this point. It's crazy. It's like they want to lose. It's almost like the fix is in. And we're going to get into who needs to be investigated, who doesn't. But as far as a lot of people are concerned, Nora Corioli should be investigated. I disagree. I think that fight was pretty close. It's a women's fight, guys. It's women's MMA. It's a French lady fighter with back-to-back losses on her record. What did you really expect? Sometimes, yes, Jocelyn Edwards was on top during the round and dominating on the ground. Other times during the same round, Nora Corioli was doing the same thing. And then they'd get to the feet and something would happen up there too. So I think people are just like, they decide in their mind who won a round and then they move on and then they don't really pay attention to other moments in the round. Like Jocelyn Edwards, yeah, at the beginning of some of those rounds, she was getting some ride time, right? But at some point in all those rounds, Nora Caroli would escape and get ride time herself and oftentimes take the back. And then it would go back up to the feet and she would be winning those striking exchanges. So, yeah, of course I thought Caroli could lose. And of course I thought that it was a closer fight than 30-27. But ultimately, if every round is close, then the fight can be 30-27 in one direction. It's not the crazy. Anyway, cut that part out. So what else should we talk about? Nori Caroli, not that controversial.
Well, the William Gomes, the sexy Jaguar, apparently kicked the man in the nuts and ended the fight with a nut kick, something we've always wanted to see. Nut kick should be legal. If you're, they say defend yourself at all times. Defend your nuts too. Always defend your nuts. And did you guys see that at all? I saw it on Instagram.
I guess I missed it. I was watching on my phone, but you know how that goes.
Luke, you have a parlay from June 11th, 2022 up on the screen.
Oh, oops, sorry. Which one's this? This is a 5-fight. Did this one win? Brendan Allen versus
No, it's a cash out. It's open.
No, it's not open.
It says open.
Wait, let's go back and think about this, though. Yuri did beat Glover. Weili Zhang did beat Joanna. Jake Matthews did beat Fiallo.
Yes.
Jack Della Maddalena did
he?
Mhm.
I think this one cashed.
I think it might have.
I don't know why that's there. Sorry, guys. I clicked on it by accident. So, final thoughts. I don't want to talk about Paris anymore. I really don't. I mean, is there anything worth talking about? BSD is a beast. Benoit Saint Denis is a beast. Rose broke her finger. Do we care? Who cares? Move on. I mean, to be honest, watching that fight on my phone, I thought Rose was winning. I was looking at that. Every time I looked at the fight, it looked like Rose was winning to me. And then I messaged to the Discord. I go, who won that? Who's winning? And they go, not Rose. I'm like, okay.
Fair enough. What about Volkan Oezdemir?
Did he win by finish?
Yeah, first round.
No time?
No time at all, dude. He choked him out, actually.
That's good.
He got Brogy Guskov. Good.
Training with Hamzat Chimaev, he said, is paying off. He feels like a beast.
Okay.
Oh my gosh! Of course he's going to train with Hamzat Chimaev. Hamzat Chimaev loves surrounding himself with nails that he can just hammer away in practice.
Yeah, I think we just move right on. Rhys McKee sucks at takedown defense. Like, he got double legs. He got folded like a lawn chair. He got taken down with ease. He didn't even try to defend himself. He didn't try to get up. He has no jiu-jitsu. Again, a guy who can't even defend himself in there. Rhys McKee, a guy who can't even defend himself. His only saving grace is that he can take a beating. That's not what you want to be in the Ultimate Fighting Championship. Like, people go, oh, you almost won. No, he didn't. He just was still there with a minute left, and he's like, all right, well, what else do I have to lose? And he was able to do crazy, wild shit for a minute. That's not good. People go like, that's a lot of heart. That's a lot of durability. No, he just is a kind of a coward because he was like, all right, think about this, guys. The thing that fighters are afraid of the most is using all their energy and still being in a fight, right? Being in a fight when they're tired, right? That's why he went for broke with a minute left, is because he didn't have to fear getting tired anymore. He was like, at the end of the day, I can actually try now. And if I get a case of the sleepies, the doctor or the judge or the ambulance will come and help me. You know what I mean?
Yeah, only a minute survival, Or is it?
Guys, I'm so fired up today. Like, I'm so fired up today. I don't know why. I'm sorry, Rhys McKee's catching stray bullets.
I know. I'm just letting you cook.
I love it. Pissed off. You're pissed at vinegar. You're ready to roll.
I'm pissed off. I really. So I just want to say, when it comes to the Israel Adesanya versus Sean Strickland UFC 293,
let's go.
We already broke that one down, top to bottom. I talked about that on YouTube. The episode's out. Dan was on the episode. Alex was on the episode. We all talked about it, top to bottom, all 12 fights, main card, and prelim. We're gonna go over it again with a fine-tooth comb on the Patreon episode, and we're gonna stop calling it the Patreon. We're gonna start calling it a new name. I was thinking like the Triple Gold Lounge. Dan and Alex have had other ideas, but I want the audience to incorporate some of their ideas. So comment what the name of the Patreon should be. Like Dr. Disrespect, his is called the Winner's Circle, right? So we could have something like the Winner's Circle. We're certainly winning all 4 weeks in a row. I'm crushing it. I'm winning so much money, hundreds and thousands of dollars. So we need a name for the Patreon that's not the Patreon. So join the Patreon if you want to get the bonus episode. We're going to break down UFC 293 yet again. And really, the double breakdown has been paying off. I mean, my record is really good. I'm in first place. I'm winning all the time. I'm winning every weekend, winning on parlays, posting them in the Patreon for everybody to see.
I'm gonna start fucking tailing your picks. I mean, I'm not gonna sign up for the Patreon because I'm not gonna pay for my own show. But please show me all your picks. I gotta follow them. You're winning all the time. I'm breaking even, and that's a celebration for me. So please let me take your picks. Luke's been crushing it.
Yes. So
my main question is did you guys hear the news that Lacerda will be commentating this Israel Adesanya versus Sean Strickland fight?
That's how bad this card is. That's how bad this pay-per-view is. My God.
You're not kidding. I hope she's the one doing the interviews too. I hope she gets to go in there and talk to Sean Strickland afterwards. And he's like, what do we got you here for? What are you doing here?
Well, I mean, Sean's very good with female interviewers. He interviews with Helen Yee probably more than anyone. So he also did an interview with that Nina drama. So Sean's always interviewing with the ladies. But my thing with this whole, I think it's going to be a lot more mild than people are expecting. I think Sean's not going to I think the Sean against Pereira, that was the press conference that people are going to be expecting. We're not going to get that. Sean's got to conserve his energy. Eric Nixick is Sean Strickland's coach. At the end of the day, they're coming here to win, guys. This is a competitive gym. This is Francis Ngannou's coach in the corner of Sean Strickland. This is a competitive gym. He's coming in there to compete and to win. The two most likely outcomes they have are Izzy by knockout, Izzy by decision. Every other outcome after that is plus 1,000 or more. Every other outcome. So if you don't think Izzy wins by decision or Izzy wins by knockout, you got a pathway to over $1,000 by just betting $100 if you can nail what happens in this main event. So everyone's got, their opinion, but at the end of the day, Izzy by decision, Izzy by knockout's like plus 120, plus 150 range, not even above plus 200.
Right quick. Do you guys buy into Adesanya by submission based on his comments? He's looking to get that. What do we think about that? Is any validity to that?
I don't think so.
Yeah. You really think Israel Adesanya is going to submit him? I don't even think
just based on a sprinkle. Based on a sprinkle. Not
I don't even think he knows that
in the Gastelum fight, and that was a minute ago. That was a long time ago. And that was not a bad triangle late in the fight, reflexively, with Gastelum being a competent enough wrestler, and it was good. It was tight. I don't think that he's going to be able to do anything like that to Sean. Sean's gas tank is too good. He's very, very competent. He trains with a lot of Russians over there in Vegas, a lot of good grapplers. He's trained with Hamzat. I think that if Sean makes this fight look like the Uriah Hall fight, he can win because Izzy is not going to fight aggressive, I don't think. I don't think he's going to come out and try to take him out. I think Israel is looking to fight like he fought Vettori, like he fought Romero, like he fought not Bronson. What's the Tavares? I mean, like a lot of these guys he fought where it was just kind of an outpoint match. I think that's what he's going to look to do. Cannonier, but you got to ask yourself who's going to be in a harder fight than they expected themselves to be in. Izzy or Sean? Sean doesn't even think he can win. So if Sean is in there and that fight is at all easier than he thought it was going to be, if he gets through round one, he's through round two, and maybe one of those rounds was so low activity on Adesanya's end, maybe he won one, and now it's round three, and they're 1-1 going into round three. And he goes, I can fucking win this fight. I'm 2 rounds away from winning this fight. So round 3, he takes him down. Spends some time on top. Round 4, Israel's desperate now and tired and doesn't have as much sting in the venom. And how is he going to knock him out? And now Sean's putting on the volume like he did against Abbas Magomedov. Now he's not looking like Miranda Cosgrove. He's looking like Floyd Money Mayweather. And he's tagging him. And he's going like this. And he's trying to skirt away against the side of the cage. But Sean's all over him. And Sean's hitting him. And he's feeding him uppercuts.
Plus 450 is looking pretty damn good right now. I like what you're saying, Lukey.
No, plus
I like it.
1,450.
Plus what?
Sean by knockout is like plus 1,400.
I don't know if I could go that far. I might just take it.
Yeah. No, I get what you're saying. Plus 450 money line, Sean. I was like,
yeah.
No, because exactly, it could be by decision for sure. So, I mean, I think there's a lot of plays on the 293 card, and I'm excited to get back in and talk about it with you guys on the Patreon.
Ooh.
A preview what we're going to be talking about on the Patreon. Anybody who thinks we already broke it down, it's like we break it down 2 weeks early now, and then as we're about to do for UFC Fight Night, T-Mobile Arena, free fight, but not in the Apex. Valentina Shevchenko versus Alexa Grasso. They're giving it to us for free. It's going to be non-pay-per-view events at the not at the Apex in Vegas, but at the T-Mobile, and it's a pretty decent card. We're going to break this down for you right now. It's 2 weeks out, and then we're going to in a week, break it down again in the Patreon, and there'll be even more we have to talk about the second time round because we have a chance to sit on it. We have a chance to ruminate. We have a chance to watch the interviews, see what changes in the card. There's a lot that goes on, a lot changes. And I'll give you, if we can finish this podcast in 45 minutes, we'll even hit you guys up with some Contender Series picks. But actually, no, because by the time it's Tuesday, I forgot it's not Monday. So by the time this airs, the Contender Series will have come and gone. But I'll still give my picks. I'll give them right now, though. So let's see. Can I get a perfect Contender Series parlay? I already know what they are. I already placed this. This is what I placed. Ready, guys? So you can do this now if you want. I got one underdog. It's the first fight of the night. Rain Guerrero, female, #1 woman out of Texas. Okay, 5-1, taking on 5-2. Rain Guerrero was set to face Corinne Lafombasi, but she withdrew. So Rain now faces Barbosa. For some reason, Rain's a 2-1 dog against the short notice fighter in Dion Barbosa. So I'm taking Rain Guerrero as my lone underdog. The rest favorites. But the reason for those favorites, #1 featherweight out of Argentina fights, undefeated 11-0. He's a slight fave. I'm taking Chad Heinecomb. Chad, #7 ranked middleweight out of the Middle East, taking on the #18 ranked heavyweight out of the United States, dropping down to fight at 185. Dylan Budka is 6-2, taking on 9-2 Chad Heinecomb. I'm taking Chad Heinecomb. The Canadian, 9-1, #1 bantamweight out of Canada, Sergey Sadi. I'm taking him. And the -700 favorite auto bet in the main event, probably cash out. Who knows? But that's a 205-pound fight. Bruno Lopez, 11-0. The Contender Series is the shit, guys. We got a lot of champions, a lot of contenders, and a lot of UFC mainstays that come out of the Contender Series now. I know the joke was fade the Contender Series because the first couple seasons were bunk, but Sugar Sean O'Malley came out of the Contender Series. Jamal Hill came out of the Contender Series. I mean, there's a lot of good.
Joe Selecki came out of the Contender Series.
Joe Selecki came out of the Contender Series. So we got to keep our eyes on this shit, guys. It's UFC at the end of the day, so we got to watch. We got to keep our eyes. And it's a nice little 5-fight offering on a Tuesday. This is like Monday Night Football for me at this point. I love it. Any other thoughts, guys, before we just get into Grasso versus Shevchenko to 6 p.m., 9/16, Austin 3/16, but we're going September 16th.
Real quick, why is it called UFC Nacho or Noche or whatever, but it's in Las Vegas? Or at least it was called that.
Yeah, I see Noche UFC on the calendar. UFC
Noche means night, boys. It probably said fight above that too.
I don't know. Were you just talking about the Tapology poster?
I don't know about the Tapology poster. I just remember a couple weeks in advance looking at it.
Yeah, Grasso's the Mexican champ, so they're just making a push. I think probably, Los Lakers,
Right? Yeah.
I mean, I feel like we have so much to discuss too, like so much more like that needs to be discussed. It'll come to me. It'll come to me. But for now, let's just start. First fight of the night: Yasmin Lucindo taking on Josephine Knutson. Josephine Knutson, #1 women's Nordic fighter. Of all the Nordic countries, she's the #1, 6-0 out of Norway. Or I'm sorry, is that Norway?
I believe that's Sweden.
Sweden. Yeah, Sweden. She's taking on Yasmin Lucindo. Yasmin Lucindo originally supposed to fight Elise Reed. But what happened was Sam Page was supposed to fight Lupita Godinez. She withdrew. They moved Elise Reed up to fight Godinez, and they moved Knutson in to fight Lucindo. So I wonder what the story is there. I also want to say what's also interesting is that Elise Reed was originally supposed to fight Lucindo, but I think before that she was supposed to fight Cynthia Calvillo. So Calvillo withdrew. Now she's fighting Lucindo. And then what's her name needs a new opponent? Godinez. So they move. So Reed is fate of the fucking month, fate of the century. She doesn't know which way is up at this point. They're confusing the shit out of Reed.
This card is all messed up. I mean, we got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 canceled bouts on this one. I'm not hating it. I think some of the replacements are good.
Daniel Rodriguez getting ripped off the card for testing positive for I'm assuming it's Ostarine.
Good. He stinks. He's boring, and he's so overrated, and I hate watching him fight. So I'm glad he's not on the card.
Wow.
Is that the guy with all the tattoos?
Daniel Rodriguez. Yeah. I mean, he's
got all the tattoos.
He's so slow.
He's very slow.
Slow Mike. In the slow Mike Rodriguez.
Yeah, no, seriously. It's like, there's nothing exciting that's going to come out of one of his fights. Yeah, people hype him up to be like a Diaz-like character because he's from California and he's got the Cholo thing going on. And it's like, he's what?
Name Rodriguez? Slow Mike Rodriguez?
Yeah.
That's crazy. I just stumbled into that joke. Sorry, I was just like,
wait. Rodriguez, Mike Rodriguez?
I'm trying to think of what Mike Rodriguez's actual last name was, but I'm like, I think it's Rodriguez.
Yeah.
No, I feel you. He's trained with Joe Schilling. I remember Joe Schilling was like, remember we did those mushrooms and we did that spinning kick with the mushrooms and Applebee's.
But he doesn't have the volume of he doesn't have the pressure. It's just like not entertaining. He's got the 10th planet jiu-jitsu thing going on, and it's just, I don't know. Never a fan.
He's also too respectful. He's like Jelly Roll. It's like, I got all these tattoos, but I'm nice.
Yeah, Jelly Roll, also terrible, terrible musician. I don't care what anyone says. His music is so bad. If you like Jelly Roll, you fucking have terrible taste in music. I have to say. It's very bad.
I didn't hate it. Okay, move on.
But yes. We had some other big fights fall off of this card, fellas. We just got robbed of Chris Curtis. Another reason to hate Ian Gary, breaking Chris Curtis's rib in sparring. That sucks.
That happened? Curtis. Wait, that happened?
Yeah. Chris
Curtis, strike 2. Oh, strike 2, Chris. Dude, Chris Curtis he's going from being somebody who, like, the more he opens his mouth, the softer he looks.
He was a darling. He was a darling of the show.
He was so cool. He was like, everyone's like, yo, this guy's the man. He wants to die and go to Valhalla. He's so badass. Look at him. He's taking all these fights. He's finally in the UFC. He's the action man. And then he starts talking, and his voice is all soft and like soft spoken. He's like a nerd. And then like you're like, okay. And then he cries and like tried to wipe his eye on what's that horrible
another ref? Man's shirt.
The guy's shirt. What's the horrible ref? The short little shrimp ref.
Slippery Keith Peterson.
It's
Tyone.
No nonsense.
No, the fleet of foot.
Oh, Jason Herzog. The fleet of foot.
Jason Herzog. So yeah, he's terrible. Jason Herzog, one of the worst refs in the game. Possibly needs to be investigated.
I used to sing his praises, but I've been disenchanted with his performance.
Ask Paulo Costa about Jason Herzog. Ask him what he thinks about Jason Herzog. Have him give a disposition. Have him testify. We'll see who gets. Anyway, Chris Curtis. I mean, he wiped his eye on his shirt and he was like, "No, man, please let me fight." It's like, you can fight,
dude. He did the same thing.
I can see. I'm fine. It's pretty simple. Abracadabra. I can see. That's all you need to say.
Luke, it's so funny because when he got his rib broken by Ian Gary, he was saying the same things pretty much in the cage. You guys would know this. You guys would know this if Ian Gary would let you follow him. But Ian Gary posted this clip.
And he posted too. What happens in the gym? Supposed to stay in the gym.
And he breaks Chris Curtis's rib, and he's like, "No, you gotta be smart. You gotta be smart, Chris."
He gave him headpats.
Yeah, he was giving him headpats.
Yeah, patted him that strike 3 right off the bat. You cannot. I'm not even gonna go there, but you can't be allowing that. Oops. Nope. Big no. Yeah, Chris Curtis.
Dude, that's bad.
That's bad. Anyway, man, and Ian Gary's taller than him too, right?
For sure. Chris Curtis is a little short.
He's not patting his head like this. He's patting his head like, you know what I mean?
Oh yeah.
Oh no. Never me.
Little mouth on him. Bing, bing, bing.
All right. Sorry, that was an accident.
And we lost Kelvin Gastelum by another, incident in the gym as well. He got his nose broken in the gym.
People think that these things are accidents. There's no such thing as a fucking accident, guys. It's like when a pitcher hits somebody with a pitch. You think that's Dan? You're wearing a Mets jersey. You're a baseball fanatic. Do you think it's an accident when that pitcher can put that fucking ball wherever he wants? He's a professional.
Quite often, it is not an accident.
Wherever he wants. He has absolute control over that ball, right?
That's why I love it.
He could hit a fly off a dog's back at 400 yards with that baseball. And you're telling me it just went 2 to the left. Oh, oopsie. No. Every hit by pitch is either on purpose or spider tack. Spider tack causes the ball to lose control out of velocity and go towards the head. We all know this. But same with UFC, guys. These are professionals. Kelvin Gastelum is a master at martial arts. Do you really think that he's in the gym and he's unable to keep some amateur who doesn't even fight in the UFC? He's not able to stop himself from getting his fucking face shattered and broken, completely rendering him incapacitated and unable to fight. There's no such thing as accidents. He was terrified of Shavkat Rakhmonov and didn't want to fight him and knew he was going to lose. And his manager, the very smart and savvy, what's his name?
Ali Abdul-Jabbar.
Very litigious. I don't want to say. But, he probably told him, hey, be smart here. That's all that needs to be said, and that's all that needs to be said. Kelvin's not very smart, but he knows what "be smart" here means. It means zag when you should zag when you should zig, and let's call the doctor. I
think zigging when you're.
I'm gonna come down to the gym and I'm gonna fucking up kick you while we're doing jujitsu. All right, or maybe I'll slam your finger in my car door. What do you want? What do you want to do this, Kelvin? You know what I mean?
So he's got a manager / mafia boss running the show.
Damn, I just don't say shit like that.
You're the one who put it out there.
This is a joke show. And you're being crazy right now.
It's a yoke.
I'm joking around. I'm saying that we all knew Kelvin was going to lose to Shavkat Rakhmonov, and not only lose, but lose badly. I mean, probably get a broken leg, broken neck, and end up in a wheelchair, as his esteemed manager Ali Abdelaziz loves to say. He loves to say Hamzat Chimaev would put McGregor in a wheelchair. He loves to say Umar, or what is his name? Islam Makhachev would put McGregor in a wheelchair. He loves saying that. He always says that he'll put him in a wheelchair. He loves it. Loves to say that. So I think Kelvin would certainly end up being at least wheeled out of the arena that night. Yeah, Shavkat would. I mean, if Shavkat's head alone, if they just had a headbutting contest, if they did headbutting contests, if they did
big old head.
No matter what they wanted to do athletically, with the exception of I'll give Kelvin wrestling and pickleball. Other than that, Shavkat's walking away with the dub.
Luke,
I think he might take him in wrestling. I don't know.
With the cadence you were describing, Ali Abdelaziz's obsession with putting people in wheelchairs, I thought of Chael Sonnen talking about how Brazilians always want to send him to the dentist. And then I thought you were going to go there and be like, does he even know we have electric wheelchairs now where we don't have to pedal them ourselves? We can just ride around in that thing. It's actually more of a luxury.
I mean, really, the way that he talks about how wheelchairs in this derogatory way. If I was in a wheelchair, I'd be like, hey, what's so bad about being in a wheelchair, Ali? I'd be like, you always are saying this. What if he was in a wheelchair, huh? I'm in a wheelchair. What's so bad about that? You know what I mean? I don't.
And for all the viewers know, we could all be in wheelchairs. They only see us from the chest up.
They see me get up all the time.
Who are some well-known, well-to-do people in wheelchairs? Let's get a top 5 going right now. Stephen Hawking, number 1.
FDR.
Professor X.
Professor X. No, FDR is 1.
FDR is. I didn't hear you say that initially, but that's a good one. That's a good one.
Professor X is not real. I don't think that should count at all.
The concept is real.
Well, if we just go with leg issues, we could talk about Oscar Pistorius as well. I mean, I don't know if he's ever taken the chair, but I know those blades.
No, he's never taken the chair. That's some strong iron beneath that man. He's
I don't know. I don't think they let him bring the blades in jail. He might be in a chair now.
Do you think we will see a Para-Olympics of the UFC?
I hope so. I mean,
who is the guy with the arm issue?
At this point, what's weird is that at this point we have phone booth fighting. We have fighting inside a car. We have 2 teams of 150 run at each other in a field fighting. We have medieval armor fighting. We have press conference fighing where they
little people fighting
conference and then they fight.
We have love on the spectrum.
We have little people fighting.
This episode is. I'm about to can this whole episode.
It's an actual show. What do you mean?
I'm really about to can this episode.
Can it? It's fine. It's good. Everything's good.
You're allowed to talk about love on the spectrum. It's a
show. It's out there.
It's neither here nor there. I'm trying to say that we have all of these different dialects of fighting.
Yes.
Get you guys in a wheelchair at each other. Get a
I'm
couple
with
guys in
it.
wheelchairs.
I would be in.
There's
for some
wheelchair
fights.
basketball. There's wheelchair everything.
I
Let's get
think the
wheelchair
problem is
fighting.
it's not standard.
Wheelchair
I think the
kickboxing.
problem is I don't think there's enough standardization amongst folks in wheelchairs. Like you'll have one guy in a wheelchair who's like super motivated and can do the rings and like Joe Swanson, you know what I mean? And he's like,
I don't think he should count either. I don't think he should count either. He's not a real person, Luke. I know that Quahog is cool and all.
I know, but I'm just saying, like, you can have, there's the guy who like, got in a car accident last week and has had a whole. Oh, all right, wait. This definitely needs to be saved for the Patreon because the joke I wanted to make is a Patreon joke. Okay, so we got to go to the Patreon with this topic. Tune into the Patreon. We'll talk bum fights. We'll talk phone booth fights. We'll talk press conference fights, and we'll talk what I want to have, which is Crazy Bitch Fight League, which is. The man's allowed to use only jiu-jitsu.
I think it's called rough and rowdy.
No blows, no punches thrown at all by the man, but the woman.
Oh, I like this.
The woman is no holds barred, and on occasion, if there's a big enough of a weight gap, we give her a bamboo stick. Now that was actually an episode of Bum Fighting. They used to have an episode of Bum Fighting where they took this like shrimpy dude and this woman twice his size, and they gave the woman a stick. And but the problem was it was like a bamboo stick. She starts whacking him with the stick. He took a few stick whacks, but only grab it. Then now he's got the stick.
Ain't no fun when the rabbit's got the gun.
But even with that, it ended up going to a draw. It ended up going to a draw with a lot of
what judges
they have
scoring?
judges.
They agreed to a draw. Actually, I think she might have won because I think what happened at the end was she bit him. And she said, and he had to tap out from the butt.
That's a disqualification.
Oh, no, there's no rules in these fights. There's no rules. That's what I'm trying to say. No holds barred. NHB, baby. Okay.
I didn't know there were episodes of bum fights as well. I thought it was just random YouTube clips or whatever back in the day.
Well, I don't know. Like, it probably, exactly. I said episode of, it was an episode.
I'm more of a street beefs guy. I
Yeah,
like actual sanctions.
I like felony fights because that was like Royal Rumble. There was like felony fights was like 1-on-1 on 1-on-1, 2-on-2. You know what I mean? And that was cool because sometimes it was like watching
steel cage match.
No, like you would see two guys kind of like make an agreement, like, all right, and then they get with the one guy, but then as like they're about to finish the one guy, then you got to start looking at the guy you're finishing him with and go, when do I turn on him? You know what I mean? So like that, there's all this messiness in it. All this.
It's a very Squid Games.
It's
a very Squid Games type of scenario.
It was a real prisoner's dilemma. Because in theory, they could have all three just teamed up on all the guys with the camera equipment and the fucking money, kicked all their asses, stole the camera equipment, stole the whole prize money, their car, their clothes, their wallets, and been out of there and said that's real felony fight shit.
I like it. I like a little mess. Everyone knows that I like a sloppy heavyweight fight. I like a little bit of ambiguity, a little bit of gray area, a little bit of messiness in these kind of situations.
I see the video of the guy on the subway where he's arguing with the guy across from the subway, and then there's this like kind of punk short kid next to him, and the kid's like starts mouthing it off to him too, and then he just goes boom, 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 boom.
No, what?
Dude, crazy. And like this is what people need to understand. It's like if you start getting in someone's face, you better have the high ground, Anakin. You know what I mean? Because if someone's arguing, like, well, that's all he had to do. You know what I mean? And he changed. That kid.
You're saying that short guy was arguing in favor of the guy who eventually elbowed him in the face.
Like, all right, two guys arguing across from each other on the subway. One guy not even having anything to do with it is sitting next to the one guy, and he just kind of starts involving himself for no reason. Just is like. Yo, like at first he's like laughing. He's like, "Oh my god, these guys are idiots." And he's like, "Yo," and then he starts getting a little bit mad. He's like, "Yo, why don't you shut up?" Like, well, like
he's opposed to the guy that's sitting next to him.
Yep. Yeah, like he's basically telling the guy because the guy sitting next to him was being the bigger asshole. He was like, he's clearly like escalating everything, you know?
Right.
He was also 3 times the kid who was sitting next to him size, and the kid did not have the whole shot. You know what I mean? He was positioned in a way where it was not at. I'm always positioning myself in an advantageous way. Whether it's
I keep my back against the wall in the subway. I don't want anybody kicking me into the tracks.
I'm always fully shelled. I'm always ready to. Yeah, exactly. I'm always ready to go. You know what I mean? That's my thought at all times, even around family, friends, and loved ones.
I take the mindset of Eric Andre when he got fired from the Fruit Loops factory, and he goes into the subway with the funnel, and he pours Fruit Loops and milk into his head and says, "Everyone drink from me. I am your commune." Drink from me. Eat from me.
No,
That's I'm a lover. That's me.
that's good. That's good. Well, let's move. Like we have so much to cover. Yasmin Lucindo, Josephine Newton. We told you guys all the brass tacks of the movement around this card. The first two are lady fights. Let's fucking get it over them. Let's get, quickly. I'm taking the non-newcomer. I'm taking Lucindo. Then I'm fading Elise Reed. So it's Lucindo and it's Godinez. Have a field day with these. Call me back when it's time to break down Kopylov versus Fremd.
Go ahead, Alex. Follow that up.
Yeah, I think I'm gonna go with Lucindo and Godinez. Elise Reed. Have we just been dragging her through the mud because she was supposed to fight for like the last 3 weeks? I feel like.
Elise Reed?
Oh no, I'm getting her.
Drag Elise Reed through the mud because she's a white belt who is.
I think she might have a couple stripes or
She's a milk drinker. She's an absolute milk drinking white
Who's
belt.
the other milk drinker we were talking about recently?
Lad. Oh no,
Aspen.
not Aspen. She's a milk drinker too, but we were talking about Poppins.
No, not Bob.
No, it was either Caitlin Chukagian
Jenna
or the younger Shevchenko.
No,
No.
it
Or
was,
older Shevchenko.
no, it was fucking the chick who fought.
She won. She
Na
fought
Liang.
against.
She fought Na Liang.
Yes,
Oh, JJ Aldrich.
JJ.
milk.
JJ Aldridge, Poppins, and who did I say first?
Elise Reed.
No. The other girl that Mrs. Wade isn't even in the UFC anymore.
Poppins.
Oh.
She's from Wales. The short
Yeah.
one.
Ray McKenna is from
Yeah.
Wales.
I thought that was Corey McKenna.
The girl who missed
Aspen
weight
Ladd,
so many
Aspen
times.
Ladd.
Aspen Ladd.
Wait, I'm getting
Oh, no. Ashton Ladd's from Colorado.
Poppins, Aspen Ladd, Corey McKenna, Aspen Ladd, and now who's the other one? I keep forgetting.
Elise Reed.
JJ Aldrich.
No,
JJ Aldrich.
Throw Elise Reed in there too, but it's Aldrich, McKenna, and Ladd. They are the same girl. They need to stop convincing us that they're three different girls. They're the same girl. I refuse to have four. And Elise Reed. I'm throwing Elise Reed in there too. Elise Reed, Aspen Ladd, JJ Aldrich, Corey McKenna. You need to become one person. I'm not going to remember four names anymore.
They're the four milk women of the apocalypse, and it's
Bro,
way
I
too much. I
told
can't-
you that JJ Aldrich milk was not going to go bad. I told you she was going to win. You're all on Na Liang.
She almost lost in the first
Well, she didn't. She fucking won. So there it is.
All right, but I'm going with Lupita, and Yasmin Lucindo.
All right. So I'm also going with.
women with Jared Vendera, another guy, fuck.
Who's the big old hossy from Missouri who leveled up from like 155 to heavyweight? Man, who's that guy?
Sucker, Jared.
I like him.
This is the worst episode ever.
No, it's a good one.
Everybody's sitting there like, it's fucking Jared Vendera, you asshole. Shut up.
There's another guy.
I know, no, but they know it. They know it. And
I
we
know.
don't
There's
it.
like that.
They're screaming at the screen right now.
It's all good. I can find it while you guys break it down. Sorry, go ahead.
All right.
All right.
I'm gonna go with that same combo. I'm going with Lucindo and Lupe Godinez. So that's 2, 4, 6. So it's not triple P certified.
Man, don't rank the women's looks right now.
It's quintuple certified times 6. So if you want the rationale, I'll say this: Yasmin Lucindo, a badass. Okay, every fight she's in, she shows toughness. She gets in these girls' faces. I think for a UFC newcomer, that's going to spell bad news for her, even if she is the #1 Viking woman in the world or whatever her deal is. Also, something to note: as of Tapology, that fight is at 120. So, yeah, I don't know. It looks like what's that?
Josh
Parisian. Oh, he's a good one.
Josh Parisian and Jared Vendera are the same guy. So we got to take those two guys, throw in Parker Porter, Jake Collier, Chase Sherman, and then they will mate with the four women I just described and will consolidate.
Completely different fighter. If they came together, they'd have the wrestling and the kickboxing. They could be a half decent fighter there. That's what they got to do.
All heavyweight women. Just
heavyweight women.
So I'm taking all heavyweight men and all women fighters. So we'll just have a bunch of heavyweight Gabby Garcia type chicks come
That's
out.
hot. That's hot.
I love it.
As far as the second fight here, I'm taking Godinez. Reed, as we've all talked about, is a 2-stripe white belt. Godinez pretty competent on the mat and also very competent with the striking. So I don't think Reed is going to overwhelm her. I think those two, it's always good when you start the night, 2 straight picks, good to go. Get your parlays going, get Uncle Mo on your side, and then you're riding high from there. So I think even as far as ladies fights goes, I think these are good picks. These are good picks.
Yeah. Next up, we got a bit of an interesting bout here. A little bit of a change up going on. Josh Fremd filling it in on late notice. But as far as I know about this fight, Dan, Roman Kopylov was actually filling in for somebody as well. Yeah, he was filling in for Chris Curtis, and that injury only happened like a couple weeks ago. So I'm guessing Roman Kopylov is a last-minute replacement for that. Then Anthony Hernandez had to withdraw, and now they're keeping Roman Kopylov on the card, and Josh Fremd is getting in there. Do you have any thoughts on this? I mean, it seems like there's a lot going on here.
Yeah, I mean, historically, Kopylov is not known as the grappler type, even though he's Russian. And that's Josh Fremd's MO, right? We love the guy. He's from Slippery Rock, our home state. Well, not home to anyone, really, as far as where we're born. But we all love the Keystone State. I'm still going to go with Kopylov here. I feel like he's been banging it out with the Russians and been, grappling plenty to at least keep this thing on the feet more than half of each round. And from there, I mean, he's a way better striker. He's on a 3-fight win streak, 3 finish streak as well. So he's really finding his groove. I like this matchup for him over Josh Fremd. Although I think Fremd is, tough. He's going to be a tough out. But, maybe if you want to play this thing as a single fight, maybe Kopylov by decision.
I'm going to take Kopylov as well. I think Kopylov showed a lot in his last fight. He looked really good. And I just think that with a loss against Tresean Gore and a loss against Fluffy Hernandez, nothing to be ashamed of. But I don't like the loss to Tresean Gore only 10 months ago and then getting in there with a guy like Kopylov who hasn't looked bad, in a long time. And even when he looks bad, it's usually really it's been 3 years, 8 months since that fight with Carl Robertson that Kopylov has looked bad.
Ooh, that's a bad look though.
Right, but it's the only loss. You know what I mean? And it's his only finished loss and his only loss in the UFC. His only finished loss in the UFC. Lost a decision to Derive. What I'm interested with this fight is, does Fremd make weight? Does Fremd make weight, and does Kopylov accept the fight if he doesn't? Because Fremd's last weigh-in, it says here, is 189. He's 6'4", 4 inches taller than Kopylov. And coming in on short notice, when he couldn't even make the weight within 3 pounds last time, something tells me he might miss. And this might be the last time we even see him a 6'4" frame at 185. That's seems kind of crazy. Seems like he should be maybe at 205. So he's young. He's 29. I think this weight cut's not going to be good on short notice. And I think that Kopylov. Actually though.
They're both on short notice, kind of, because Kopylov was filling in for. I was just telling Dan.
This is so interesting. So think about this, guys. They both fought 2 weeks ago. Jamie Pickett, Josh Fremd fought Jamie Pickett a week and 3 days ago, and Claudio Ribeiro. That fight was the head kick knockout was 2 weeks ago. Dude, why do both these fights feel so much longer ago?
Yeah, but Kopylov was filling in for Chris Curtis. So that news only broke a week or 2 ago that Chris Curtis was out of that fight. So he's also coming in on short notice as well. Just wanted to give you that little context.
But who was Chris Curtis originally going to fight?
He was supposed to fight Anthony Hernandez. Then Anthony Hernandez pulled out, so Fremd is filling in for Hernandez. They both...
okay.
So Anthony Hernandez was scheduled to fight Chris Curtis.
Yeah.
Right?
He withdrew. Hernandez withdrew. Kopylov, he withdrew. So now Kopilov's fighting Fremd, who also who it's even because they both fought a week ago. So
yes, exactly. They're both on short notice, both fought a week ago. I would imagine that this
Did
fight
Fremd
is.
fight a week ago and then do what everybody would do when they fought, which is to eat and celebrate and take a couple, like at least a week off, you know?
I would think this is going to be like a catch weight at like 190 or something. Both these guys don't have a lot of time to prepare.
Interesting fight. I'm taking Kopylov. But I
Yeah,
love
I'm gonna-
him, and it pains me to have to pick against him.
I'm going to take Fremd. I'm going to go with the, hometown kid out of PA, Josh Fremd. Roman Kopylov struggles with wrestlers. He struggles very bad. And yes, he's been on a bit of a streak with success, but Alessio Di Chirico, not the best grappler. Punalele Soriano, not a guy who's going to go for a takedown. And Claudio Ribeiro, not really going for takedowns either. I think that this is going to be a completely different style than he's been fighting lately, and he's been fighting some favorable styles with some favorable matchups, and I think that Josh Fremd is going to capitalize on the hole in his game.
All right, I'm going to use the restroom and get a drink, so I'll make my next one first and make it short and sweet. I think that Natan Levy is going to win against Alex Hayes. Alex Reyes, he got knocked out by Mike Perry and hasn't fought since. Don't know what the story is upon, why he took this fight, why he's in here. I mean, he lost to Mike Perry by knockout 2017. So 6 years ago, almost to the day, 6 years ago. And then in those 6 years, they wanted to get him a fight against Nasrat Hapkras a reasonable amount of time later, 6 months later, after the first round knockout by Mike Perry. That bout gets canceled. And then nothing else, not a murmur, not a peep, not a breath in the wild until last February, where they had him scheduled for Trevor Peek. And you can tell why. He's got 9 knockouts, 4 submissions. He has never won a fight by decision. This guy, Alex Reyes. So he's nicknamed Executioner. He's a finisher. Natan Levy, last 2 fights went to decision, but fought very recently. He's a submission guy. He's a decision guy. I think this fight's going to be fireworks. I think Natan Levy gets the win.
Yeah, I like the recency of Natan Levy. He's certainly been a very active fighter as of late. As Lukey said, he's not a world beater. He's not going to, be anywhere close to a title shot or anything like that. But he's shown to be fairly competent both on the ground and on the feet. He throws in combination. He has a pretty good gas tank. He's durable. And I think he's not a UFC newcomer, but my gosh, he might as well be at this point in time. I think Levy is a tough go for anyone, especially a guy like this coming off his last fight being a knockout from Mike Perry. As he said, Mike Perry, when you fight him, he leaves a couple screws loose up there. So who knows how this guy's going to be looking in his first fight coming back. I think Levy gets the thing done.
Yep, I'm going to go with Levy as well, much to my chagrin. I'm not the biggest fan of Levy, but I got to go with him here. The activity is appalling. You haven't fought in 6 years, and the last time you did fight was by knockout to Mike Perry. I think that the best bet on this fight is that it probably won't happen, seeing as this guy has pulled out in his last 2 fights. But Natan Levy is my pick.
Well, this is the deal. It's like at the roulette table, you got 6 reds in a row. The next one's going to be black. This guy's pulled out so many times in a row, he's bound to fight.
Or just never fight again.
Or that.
Either one of the two. But next up, we got Edgar Pitbull Cháirez versus Daniel Mojito Lacerda. Dan, what do you think about this one? Both young guys, both coming off losses. How do you think this one's going to roll out?
Lacerda, as Luke infamously called the Brazilian Conor McGregor, 4 straight losses. Jeff Molina, Frankie Figueiredo, Victor Altamirano, and CJ Vergara. All finishes. But at the same time, in those moments before the finish, it seems like he's got skills. I don't know. I mean, am I crazy here? It seems like he brings something to the table. He's explosive. He throws a combination. He's got some crazy kicks and everything. I feel like he puts himself in bad positions, and that's how he finds himself getting finished. And much like what we just talked about with the roulette theory, you got 4 straight in the red as far as him losing. I'm bound to think there's going to be a green here. I mean, why hasn't this guy been cut already? 4 straight losses. I mean, as far as UFC strikeouts go, normally it's 4 strikes. Is he going to get a 5th in the row? I feel like probably not. Just based on the fact that, again, he seems like he's got some skills. Edgar Cháirez, we don't really know all that much, just based on the fact that he lost to Tatsuro Taira on my wedding night, so I definitely didn't see that. And then his other loss previous to that was Clayton Carpenter, who's a damn good fighter. This is a definite no bet as far as my actual parlays and all that. I'm not loving it. I'm gonna go with Daniel Lacerda. Obviously, can't be all that confident with a guy who just is coming off of 4 straight finished losses, but that's the hunch that I have. What do you think about this?
Yeah, I'm feeling everything that you're feeling. Like every single thing Daniel Lacerda does looks so good, and then all of a sudden he just blunders it, loses it. I think he has a good 2 minutes, 3 minutes in the gas tank, but doesn't last much farther than that.
Do you think it's a gas tank issue?
I'm starting to think it is, because he's got a lot of early finishes himself, and he gets finished if he doesn't get that finish. Although I love a lot of the things he does, like look at the Victor Altamirano fight, for example. I'm pretty sure the first 2 minutes, Lacerda came out like a fucking bat out of hell and was putting it on Victor Altamirano. Same thing with the CJ Vergara fight. I'm pretty sure the same thing with the Jeff Molina fight. The Francisco Figueiredo one, he kind of just got caught in a weird position quick. But all those other ones, he was pouring it on the guy early and then ends up not having that same pop to his punches in the second round or late first round. I'm going to go with Edgar Cháirez here. I just think that, well, I know this because he went a significant amount of time with Tatsuro Taira, right? I
believe he won a round. I'm switching as well. I'm going with Edgar.
Yeah, because I just think, this Mexican warrior spirit, the same reason I bet on the over in the Tatsuro Taira fight with Edgar Chavez. I was like, he's not getting him out of there. It's going to go to decision. Tatsuro by decision was the play. And I just think that Mexican spirit is going to be alive. And whatever Daniel Lacerda comes at him with, it's going to fade and fade and fade. And Edgar's still going to be there.
And if you take a look at his losses, there's only one that happened within a 3-round fight. His other finished loss was at the tail end of round 5. Everything else was a decision loss. He picked up a round against Taira, which is, pretty impressive in my book for a first fight UFC fighter. And, his other losses were Clayton Carpenter of PFL fame, very good fighter, and Alberto Trujillo, which is obviously a former UFC fighter in his own right. So, and Jesus Aguilar, isn't that guy a UFC guy?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
I actually thought the same thing about Clayton Carpenter, but he's a different. There might be 2 Clayton Carpenters. This guy just fought on the Contender Series against Edgar Cháirez, and is not the guy from PFL.
Oh, well, screw me. But he's an
MMA.
MMA.
I thought the same exact thing when I first saw him. I was like, "Oh, Clayton Carpenter, you fought the guy from the PFL?"
Yeah,
and then it turned out to be a different fellow.
Regardless, he's from the MMA lab. He's a Contender Series guy. He's obviously got some skills. So I think the argument still holds up.
He's boyfriend material.
Very much boyfriend material. I just took a look at the Tapology page to see what you're saying.
He could be boyfriend. He could be boyfriend number 2. Him and Tatsuro Taira could be boyfriend number 1 and 2, right?
Who has better lips?
I agree with everything you guys said. The question is, what's the coin flip going to say? Because that's what this fight is to me. It's a coin flip, and I think that if what I think is going to happen happens, Lacerda comes in as a huge underdog. I'm going to want some exposure there. It's early enough in the night, and I respect Jeff Molina immensely. I respect CJ Vergara immensely. He almost killed CJ Vergara in that first round, and CJ Vergara just Homer Simpsoned him essentially. So I'll write that one off. I'll write the Molina one off. All right, you got knocked out by Altamirano. You got heel hooked by Figueiredo. You look good against Figueiredo. Got caught in heel hook. I'll write that one off. Okay, you got knocked out by Altamirano. This guy's a lot like Altamirano. Oh wait. Oh shit. So the one fight I'm going to consider after writing 3 finished losses off, this guy kind of fights like that guy. Okay, so there's no data that says that Lacerda should win this. If this is an even line, like pick 'em, I'm going to go with Edgar over here, the Pitbull. But if Lacerda's a big dog, I'm going to go with Lacerda because here's why. He's not one of the worst fighters to ever fight in the UFC.
Yeah, no.
And if he loses 5 in a row, that is the type of thing that only happens to the worst of the worst. And he's just not that guy. Let me check. What's Homeboy? What's the Moroccan Devil? What did he end up doing? In my opinion, he's the best guy to get kicked out of the UFC recently.
I don't know. I'm not sure what the deal with them is.
AL. Here, let me see. Yusuf, the Moroccan Devil Zalal, is on a 5-fight win streak amongst MMA and kickboxing and boxing. Okay, he is killing it right now, and he went on a 3-fight losing streak and then had a draw against Damon Blackshear. Let me tell you who my boy, the Moroccan Devil, fought to end up kicked out of the UFC. Ilia Topuria, where he lost the decision. Sting, who just got a finish win. Soo Woo Choi, who he lost a decision to. Sean Woodson, who he lost a split decision to. And Demonsta Blackshear, who he had a draw with.
Good fighters.
I mean, crazy. Goes into Sparta FC, fights Edwin Chavez, finishes him in the first round. Fights Jake Childers, finishes him in the first round. Goes into boxing, wins a decision. Goes into kickboxing, second round finish. Goes back to MMA, first round arm triangle. Bring Yusuf Zalal back. Bring Yusuf Zalal back now. Bring him back now. I want Zalal back now. I'm going to throw a fit. I'm going to say it on every episode. I want Zalal back in the UFC now. It was a travesty. He's never been finished. He's 27 years old. He's never been submitted or knocked out. Yeah, he's got 5 decision losses. I don't care. I don't care about that. Bring him back, guys. He never lost. He just ran out of time. Now he's on a 4-fight winning streak, 3 finishes, boxing, kickboxing, you name it. Bring him back. I love Yusuf Zalal, and I think Lacerda's a lot like a Zalal kind of type here. Maybe he wins this fight, and they still cut his ass because that's what they like doing to 27-year-old because they love it. Dana White, think about this guy from Boston, and I'm not saying he's making these decisions anymore, but I'm saying who's the type of guy that he hires and puts in positions of power. The type of guy who, in the back of his mind, goes, yeah, he's a good kid. He's a good kid. But right now, he's just not ready for the UFC. But this will be the best thing for him because we'll send him out. He'll get a chip on his shoulder. He'll either rise to the top like cream or he'll burn out because the heat is too hot in the kitchen and he can't handle it. But regardless, there's a process. There's a process to building talent. And you have to be willing to kill your darlings. You have to be willing to trim your hedges. You have to be willing to send them out to pasture, send them to the farm leagues, send them to AAA ball. You got to be willing. If you love something, let it go. And if it loves you, if it was meant to be, it'll come back to you. If it doesn't, it was never meant to be anyway. And I think Zalal is meant to be. Zalal is a future champ. I love Zalal.
Future champ.
I think Lacerda is a future champ. Okay. I'm getting a little romantic here, but no. Lacerda does train with Charles Oliveira, right?
How can you not be romantic
so.
about
I
MMA?
think he does, right? Let me see. ATS.
You might be thinking of
Calvin.
Alan Nascimento. They kind of look ish.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. I'm actually not picking Lacerda. I'm not gonna pick Lacerda. I'm picking the Mexican guy.
You're not picking the next champ.
I bet every good thing I said about Lacerda. He will lose this fight. He will become from UFC, but he will be back. I'm picking Cháirez.
All right.
I have a great record right now. I'm not getting risky. I'm picking the people who I think are going to win based on the evidence. Lacerda, he's not Zalal. He's gotten finished in all his losses. Zalal's never been finished. Lacerda, you're not Lazal. You're not Zalal. Okay. Let's move on. Cortez versus JJ. Tracy Cortez, single, never looked so good. Swinging free as a bird. No Brian Ortega baggage. No Brian Ortega weighing her down. Now, I didn't like what Brian did. People were telling him that he fumbled the bag, and that's a compliment to Tracy Cortez. All that is doing, that's a bunch of gentlemen, a bunch of white knight gentlemen throwing Tracy a bone and saying, Tracy, don't worry. You didn't get dumped. Your biological clock's not ticking. We still love you. We'd still date you, even though you were dumped by Brian Ortega. No one cares. That's a bunch of nice gentlemen doing that, saying, "Man, Brian, you fucked up, man. How'd you go fumble that bag? How'd you let that one slip by you, man? That's the one that got away, Brian. We're just being gentlemen." But Brian, this California
cool guy, rides in low riders on the weekends, teaches the kids class on the weekdays. Okay, buddy, we know what you're doing.
Yeah, what would you say? Throwing up, making balloon animals with one hand and throwing up gang signs with the left. Or that's what McGregor said about Diaz?
Something to that nature. Yes.
Yeah, and he couldn't even take it.
Hey, I'm not surprised, mother.
Couldn't even take it. People saying that he fumbled the bag, that he had to come out and say, "Hey, it's not a fumble when you let it go. That's called a complete pass." Is he any cooler for that, ladies and gentlemen? Is he any cooler? Does any of us think, "Oh, you're a cool guy, Brian. You're so cool. You dumped a girl. Did she cry?" Like, what a dork, right? I don't like that.
Keep shelling out all these crazy ass products Henner Gracie's coming up with.
And how are you gonna act like you're not a simp when you got her name tattooed on your lip? You're a Mac. You're the top G, Brian, getting girls' names tattooed on you. And it's like you didn't even do it in a cool way. He'd be like, "Yeah, well, lip tattoos, they wear off naturally after a few, very quickly, actually. And it doesn't even last more than it's pretty much like a henna tattoo. It's pretty much like a temporary tattoo." It's like, that's lamer, Brian. That's not cooler. Cooler. Say what you want about Darren Till. At least he committed. He got that big son of a bitch on him. You know what I mean? and then for him to get that corrected, he had to turn her ass into a gorilla. And he's making jokes about it too. He's like, I first I got the tattoo of what she looked like on the outside, but it turned out to what she looked like on the inside, lad. He makes that joke. He makes jokes all the time. "Oh, I think it looks more like her now." Sounds like I have a speech impediment. He's like, "Lad, I think it looks more like her now if you really look close." It's like, we know, okay, that's hilarious, but everybody would love to be able to make that joke about their ex, right? Like, say that their ex looks like a monkey or something.
It's not very nice. I wouldn't.
Or that she was as mean as one, or she's like, that this is what she looked like in the morning before she put on the makeup. You could hear Till saying it at a pub or something, Guys, you have okay. My point is Brian Ortega is a big mean jerk, and he should have been nice to Miss Tracy.
I agree.
I'm in on that.
I'm not gonna white knight for her, but I don't think that's very polite, Brian. I don't think that's very nice to do to somebody.
You don't talk about exes on airwaves.
You don't. You just let it be. Let live and let live. That's what I always say. As it goes for this fight, I think it's pretty straightforward. I'm not very high on Juicy Jazzy, Juice Visticus. She wins some fights. She loses other ones. She's not very good. Hasn't fought anybody very good. Tracy Cortez has good wrestling. She's going to win. And she's battling her.
Maverick is good, and Justine Kish is not good, and she took her to a split decision 2 years ago and hasn't fought in a year and 3 months and is going through a breakup. I'm taking Jazzy J. Jazzy J, 2 inches taller. Jazzy J, 3 inches of reach. Jazzy J fought more recently. Jazzy J beat Miranda Maverick, who is good. Alex, you are wrong. Jazzy J will beat up on Tracy Cortez. She's sad. She's eating Ben & Jerry's.
Oh, I gotta split the difference here.
Well, Dan, if one of us picked one and the other one picked the other, there's really no option for you, buddy. You couldn't not split.
Yeah, but that's what it is. You gotta split the difference.
You wanted to. You have no choice. You have to pick one.
I know, but it's a close fight. Like, I'm not exactly sure who's going to win. And you guys, you're not persuading me because you're both on different ends. And I think you have equal arguments here.
Cortez has the better brand name. and she has the Latina heritage. It's a Mexican themed card. They want to market that part of the world. So, okay, yeah. Do they want the Canadian to come in there and beat the person whose last name's Cortez on a fight that they're calling UFC Noche? Probably not. But that doesn't matter sometimes. That doesn't make a fucking damn bit of difference sometimes.
Yeah.
But
I'm going to go with Cortez.
Singapore wasn't as good, but Paris was. So
I'm going to go with Cortez. I like her wrestling. I like the fact that she's shorter. I like the fact that she's got a base. I don't think she's going to be taken down by the Canadian here. Her last performance was very good against Maverick, but Maverick, I mean, talk about people who fumble the bag. She fumbles the bag all the time, especially in the wrestling department, I feel like, where everyone, touted her as this like big Nebraskan Cornhusker woman who was going to be a monster and take everyone down. She hasn't. She's been taken down in multiple fights outside of the Jasudavicius fight. So, even though she's not a mid-level fighter, she's in the upper echelon, I would say, of the women's division. I don't know. I'm not going to say it was fugazi on Jasmine's part, but I like Cortez. I think within the next 2 fights, we're going to be talking about her within the title contention area. So give me Tracy Cortez here. It's going to be close. Take the over. It'll be juiced up to minus 550, but it'll be a nice little parlay piece. And go from there. But as far as the straight pick, yeah, I'll take Cortez.
All right.
And Brian Ortega, I will be a white knight. You are a dirtbag, and I'll fight you in the streets any freaking day you want, bro. Because guess what? I also won't tap to your little triangles, your little arm bars, because I'm also similar to an Australian rugby player that's 5'6". Okay, if you can't tap that guy out, you damn well can't tap me out. And guess what? I'm coming for the ground and pound after I get back on top. Unlike Volkanovski, it's not going to decision. It's not going to decision. What do you think about that?
I love every bit of it.
That was amazing. Yeah, I'm with you. He's 145 pounds.
Yeah. Yeah. He's a feather. He's a featherweight.
I stand with Bradley Martin. I just want to say this formally. Bradley, you're welcome on the show anytime. I'm Team Bradley Martin. He's my second favorite fighter. Third favorite fighter. It's John Jones, number 1. Jake Paul, 1A. Bradley Martin, 2. And I think Bradley Martin could beat. I think a lot of people are going to be surprised when he grapples against DJ. Furthermore, if that fight were in the street, there's a reason DJ isn't going to do it in the street. All right, and it ain't because Bradley's scared. All right, so yeah, because he goes for one of his flying mighty bars when you're coming down on a curbside. I don't really think it's going to work out too well. When you're coming down by the dumpster behind 7-Eleven in the street arena, I don't think that move works, as easily as it does on Ray Berg. So.
Poor Ray Berg.
Ray Berg. Ray Berg lost every friend. He's I don't even know if you've been following the Ray Berg. Everybody wanted to help Ray Berg, and but he just kept not showing up on weight for fights. And now I feel like even Bellator was like, Ray, you're done. Get the fuck out. Even the nicest guy in the world, Scott Coker, was like, Ray, you fucking cost us a lot of fucking money, Ray. Get the fuck out of here.
We don't care about the Conor McGregor glass in the eye. We don't give a shit about anything going on in your personal life. We don't care about any of that. If you can't show up on weight, then you got to hit the.
He showed up to Hawaii. That's the problem. Is he showed up to Hawaii, and that's a pretty penny of a plane flight for him to not fight. And Scott Coker's like, "Oh, I'll bet you did want to get here and then not have to work, huh? Oh, you're just going to go to the beach? Oh, have fun. Have fun. You get back for that plane ticket since you're going to stay? Or hey, Scott Coker's like, hey, Ray, we can get you on a flight out at a red eye at midnight. You can go. Yep. Okay. Yeah, he'll be there. He's like, no, I'm going to stay. He's like, no, you'll be on the flight. You'll be on the flight. Ray Berg catching strays. Okay. What was I saying though? What was I saying about? Oh, yeah. So anyway, Bradley Martin. Did you see him bark down Merab and Aljo? Aljo and Merab were both there. They both tucked tail and just completely baited out to Bradley Martin. He dominated both of them. He was like, I was not. He's like, I didn't like it when you faked being hurt, like, and won the belt. He's like, I was so pissed. He's like, I didn't like that shit. And then Merab and Aljo like didn't even know what to say. They were like flabbergasted. They were like, whoa, like what do you mean? What do you mean? Like,
dude, yeah. Merab and
he would have
Aljamain
taken their heads and cracked them both together so hard it would have started a fire.
I wish that he would have, because
he could have lifted them both up like this and be like, which one do I fight first? Merab or Aljo? Which one do you want me to fight? That's how big Bradley Martin is. He's so big he could have went boom. Like, yeah. Those two. That's why they didn't break bad on him. What did Nate say? Big old Nate now. Nate's 200 pounds now. He looked at big. He said he looked at Bradley. He said, "You won't." That was so funny. But Aljo and Merab, they didn't say shit. They weren't going to get up.
Yeah, they're actually the only fighters who have been on the show to not like come back at him and be like, "No, I would whoop your ass."
If I were on Bradley Martin's show, I would say, Bradley, I'll start you off in mount, and the over-under is 1 minute before I escape and choke your ass the fuck out. You want to take that bet? Over-under is 1 minute. How much you want to bet? And that would be that.
So your second, you could escape mount from your second favorite fighter. Do you understand that he's 260?
Well, listen, he's 260, but you know, it's a magic.
So how close are you to beating up? My question is,
I have a secret way that no one else knows.
My main question is,
check the oil.
If you're so confident in beating your second favorite fighter up, are you confident in beating either of your first favorite fighters up?
Dude, listen. First of all, I'm not saying I would beat Bradley Martin up. I'm just saying.
I think that's exactly what you're saying.
It wouldn't even need to get there, because do you hear what I just said? I would have just come at him so hard and been like, I'm going to start you out in my mount. You can mount me, and we'll see if you can last a minute before I escape that mount and fuck your ass up. We're not even going to get there at that point. You know what I'm saying? That's just me. That's me. The best general never fires a fucking shot. You know what I mean? He just aligns his troops and waits. And that's me. I would align my troops. I would say, this is the bet. This is the wager, Bradley. But I would stack it so deep in my favor. Because think about it. Big old Bradley 260 mounts me, and I can't escape and choke him out. Well, what you guys expect? Of course I fucking yeah, like I got myself in a big distance. Same as Nate boxing Jake Paul and Logan Mayweather and everything like that. It's like you got to just set the obstacle so high that if you fail, you go, well, yeah, but like I did pretty good.
But I'm glad you actually. I'm so happy you
half court shots, dog.
I'm so happy you brought this up, because Aljamain Sterling and Merab Dvalishvili's love fest has gone too far, and I'm going to be the first one to say it. It has gone way too far, way too far. Aljamain Sterling is sitting here. He puts a post on Instagram. I don't know, yesterday, the day before, and thank God we recorded a day late. Our gods always bless us when we record a day late, because it just gives me a little bit more ammunition. I see Aljamain Sterling put a picture of him and Merab like hugging in the cage, being very cute, very sweet to each other. I see this, and the caption says, "It's simple. You either rematch me or you fight Merab." I had to look through the comments just to see like if anybody was subscribing to this nonsense, so I knew who to block from my Instagram account from then on out. I'm looking, and everybody's like, since when does the guy who just lost the belt call the shots? Oh, so Merab just gets to sit on the sideline for a year because you guys like to make out, and now he gets rewarded with a title shot? Not how it works here, boys. Hit the road, go to Bellator. Whoa. Whatever happened to win or lose? I'm going to 145. I know I got to fight at 145. And now he doesn't know if he wants Max Holloway, if he wants Sugar Sean O'Malley. He doesn't know what the hell he wants, this Aljamain Sterling. He doesn't know if he wants Merab to fight O'Malley. Merab ain't fighting O'Malley, okay? That's first things first. Merab will never fight O'Malley.
As long as I got something to say about it, that will never take place.
It will never take
place. I
place.
don't want to see it. No interest. I won't even discuss it.
If I got to go to Long Island myself, if I need to go to Long Island myself, I will, just to make sure that fight doesn't happen at all costs.
What would you do?
when they email Merab.
Don't worry about what I'll do. I'll slash some tires. I'll make sure Merab, this fucking moron, I'm sure he doesn't even know how to change the ink in his printer. If I just misplace that, he won't even get the contract.
That's actually hilarious. He doesn't know how to change the ink in his printer.
Alex, come on, it's DocuSign, bro. You got to take his phone charger.
His phone charger, yeah. He thinks that he really thinks that every phone charger is designated for the phone you bought it with. He doesn't use anybody else's.
Well, my thing is more so like this. It's like fighters, they gotta fight. That's first of all. And if they want to, it can't be like this, right? It can't be, oh, the belt is not that important to me. I won't fight for it because Aljamain's my friend. But then it's very important, and there's actually there's a seriousness to this, and there's an order and a lineage to who gets to fight. No. You just said it wasn't. You were already okay with interrupting the order and not fighting, but now you don't want to interrupt the order to fight. See what I'm saying? It's like, now this is silly. So the other thing that people need to consider is that Aljamain's actually a bad actor and a bad guy in all this. Because a selfish person, really. And if you think about it, he was okay with like usurping all of this birthright for himself and then holding on to it. And then, for a while, he held on to it for a while. And now it's like, okay, the O'Malley fight, that's your big cherry on the cake. If you're the type of guy who's playing the pay-per-view game, it's like, without knowing what any of the outcomes are going to be, if they show you a list of opponents that you can fight, who are you going to pick? You're going to pick the guy who's interviewing on the Nelk Boys and the Full Send and the Sean O'Malley's of the world are who get the most numbers. That's who any analyst would tell you, Aljamain Sterling, to fight to make the most money on the pay-per-views. Whether or not it did or not, who fucking knows? I'm just saying that's what any analyst would tell you is the logical best fight. Henry Cejudo, right? You're getting all the good matchups with pay-per-view points in your contract, and then you lose to Sean. Okay, but at least when you fought him, you had the pay-per-view points in the contract, right? Unlike Eddie Alvarez when he fought McGregor or Cowboy when he fought McGregor, right? You got the right fight at the right time, and you were able to leverage it. Perfect. Okay. Now you lost. The immediate rematch, if that was in the question, like if that was a question, like if it was that you were an Anderson Silva or a Demetrius Johnson type and an immediate rematch was warranted, right? Okay, then maybe that does happen. But since it's not, and you got smoked out, and it wasn't competitive, and you didn't last very long at all, and other fighters who have fought Sean have lasted longer, and you got knocked out, and you got the heebie-jeebies, and didn't perform, and got scared of Sean, and got knocked out, right? Because it was like that, we gotta move on a little bit. And you should want that too. Like, because if you lose again to him, now there's really no hope. You know what I mean? So it's like you should want that too, to cultivate a little bit of a, and I think the UFC should do more for former champions. And I think they do, but I want it to be kind of standard. I think that if you win a title and you're fighting on a pay-per-view, you should get I'm not saying you should get the same percentage points that you get when you're the champ, but you should get a little bite. You know what I mean? Like Daniel Cormier said he got paid the same when he was a champion and when he wasn't. And it's like what? They just give guys that
Ben Askren got a flat rate of $500,000 every fight, regardless of win, lose, or draw. It didn't matter what happened. He was getting $500,000 every single fight in the UFC.
Looking at what's disclosed and what's released. What I'm talking about is we'd get more fights made if we just and listen, I don't mean give them a lot of money and too much money and reorganize the whole structure of how we pay fighters. But I'm saying the mechanisms that are currently in place that do motivate guys to take fights because they do stand to make a percentage of the fucking money versus guys who choose to sit out and wait and buy time to end up in a because guys hope to get lucky. Like Sugar Sean just hopes that I'm looking to fight in December. So as long as I say I want to fight in December, if that's the card that McGregor wants to fight, they're going to put me on it. No, they'll tell you to kick fucking rocks if they want to. The fighters don't realize that the UFC can just come in eminent domain your ass. They can just eminent domain you at any moment. You know what I mean? They think that they can organize it so that they have to be in a certain situation. That happens in a blue fucking moon. That's Nate Diaz shit. He is not the rule. He is the exception. Let me be the first to tell you. When he fucking stumbles into a Tony Ferguson main event instead of a Hamza Chimaev. When he beats Michael Johnson, grabs the mic, and gets that McGregor fight. Which, by the way, he didn't just get for that call out. He made the call out. That was the dry powder. But then RDA hurt his foot.
He stepped up. Yeah.
And he was ready and he was
9 days.
willing. Ready and willing, Luke.
In Cancun, Mexico, came up drinking tequila 2 days prior. 7-day training camp, took on McGregor, finished him in the second round. So that's how stars are made, not by sitting out and waiting for the stars to align in the move. Henry Cejudo did that. What happened to him? He fucking came back, fought, lost, done. And now what's he trying to do? He's trying to get back in there. He's trying to get back in there quick. Because that's what he should have been doing the whole fucking time. You know?
Right. I see what you're saying. I like your logic here. This is all making sense to me.
I'm not saying give him half the fucking. I'm saying, say Aljo, you fucking fight Max Holloway. You're getting pay-per-view points on that, or we're just gonna give you a big bump because it's the main event of a fight night. But like, just make it worth their while. Give them. These guys are cheap.
Fuck that. They deserve less money. I think they all deserve less money.
But they don't
So
know what a lot of money
less
is.
fight.
They don't know what a lot of money is. So just give them what they think a lot of money is. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
My
Half
favorite
taxes, 10% goes to coaches, 10% goes to their manager, and then the rest, and then then they owe money from all the Whole Foods they bought leading up to it because they were so bored that they had to go buy cans of crab meat.
I go back to this. Tito Ortiz, first fight in the UFC, internship, no pay. Amazing. Love it. Forever one of my favorites. By the way, again,
NCAAs.
I'm going on this journey, watching every main event that I can. I am just past the Forrest Griffin, Stephan Bonner, so I'm in 2005. But I just want to say this. My God, Tito Ortiz was in damn near every main event from like 1999 until 2005. It was insane. Kicking ass in all the main events. So I mean,
are you checking the dates of these main events? I mean, they were like 3 and 6 and 9 months.
No, I know. I understand that there was like 2 fights per year.
There was
Well, I mean, Tito's going to outlive his kids, and that's the most important thing in his life, and he outlived a lot of these guys who were in the UFC for a while. He came in at the same time as Tank Abbott, guys who would actually fight and didn't give a shit and didn't tuck tail and hide. And that's the thing. Merab, guys, let's not get off of the fucking topic. That little Ewok came out here and said, I think Aljo deserves a rematch. This guy, he has career suicide on his mind every single step of the way.
Unalive.
Huh? Unalive?
He has career unalive itself.
Yeah, but
we're not monetized.
You catch the gist. He cannot help but getting in his own way. You would think a guy who learned English later in his life would stay the fuck quiet for a little longer. But instead, he just keeps having to talk and make everybody mad at him. I loved him when he first came into the UFC, right? And he's just taking everybody down, being a powerhouse, getting half choked out. Maybe he was, maybe he wasn't. But then he's sitting out here and just talking all this shit, sucking Aljo off at every turn of the race, guys. It stinks. I can't stand this love affair. At least Chris Curtis and Sean Strickland will bust each other's balls. But Merab, all he does is just sing the praises of Aljamain Sterling like he's Jesus Christ on earth, and he wants more for Aljamain Sterling than he wants for himself. It's pathetic. He looks at Aljamain Sterling like he's his child. He's like, yes, my son must get the belt first and keep the belt and keep winning. I would rather him do it than me. What the fuck are you talking about, Merab?
That's a generous way of putting it, that he looks at them like it's his child. I would say it's the other way around. But yeah, Sean Strickland doesn't lie for his friends. He says everything that's wrong with Marvin Vettori. He says everything that's wrong with Chris Curtis. If they fight like a bitch in a fight, he goes on an interview. He says Curtis fought like a bitch in that fight. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But
instead you got Merab. Oh well, Aljo did that on a quick turnaround, and he did the UFC a favor. He's not doing the UFC any favors.
They're also rewriting history all the time. Like on the Bradley Martin podcast, Merab is talking about Aljo getting the belt from Jan the first time, and he goes, and they both don't even know how to keep their story straight. He's like, and then Aljo win the belt, but then he throw the belts off because he doesn't want to win it this way. But then and it's like, wait, what do you say? And then Brad's like, yeah, I didn't like that. He's like, wait, you didn't like it even? And Aljo's like, you still didn't like me even after I threw it on the ground and didn't want to accept it that way? And he's like, no. He's like, yeah, of course I didn't, because, and then, but it's funny because right there, Aljo kind of reveals something, right? he reveals that in his mind, that was a demonstration
Penance.
of sorts, a penance of sorts. But the act alone should have been enough for the stupid, idiotic fans to accept, right? Like he and Merab think themselves savvy of the game. And they think that, oh, this shit's easy. Like I can but they don't, but they're not actually that good at it. You know what I mean? And they continuously fuck up their narrative and their stories and put their foot in their mouth. And
Bradley was simply just like, well, I saw you celebrating with the belt later that night. I saw you on your social media.
Bullshit, because I knew it was bullshit. I knew that just like you were acting like you were more hurt than you were from the knee, and just like you were acting like you were sad you got the belt. See what I'm saying? It was an act. So when I saw that you still had the belt later, and when I saw that you didn't vacate it, you know what I mean? It's like you continued to be put in possession of it. You clearly, you always have the choice to own something or possess something. Like, you know what I mean? You can always choose not to have something. So if you really didn't want to possess and own this thing, you could have chosen not to have it, but you did. And you acted like you did. So that's where the disingenuousness comes from. You know what I mean? Chael Sonnen said when John Jones broke his foot in the press conference after that fight, Chael Sonnen said, if they had fucking stopped the fight for his broken toe, I would have taken that belt and gone home and not felt any kind of way about it. I would not have. He said that in hindsight. When you don't have to say it. He said in hindsight, he said, no. You guys think that I would have been, because they were like, you probably wouldn't have wanted to win the belt that way. That's what
Ariel Hawani was asking him that.
Any of them. The reporters always want to condition it. They're the biggest leading the witness people of all time. And they kind of have to their credit, they kind of have to, because half these fighters, it's like talking to a tree. You know what I mean? you gotta kind of, hey, how about this? You know what I mean? But now they just do it. John Morgan, I mean, he's so institutionalized. Listen to him talk. I mean, he sets it all up for you. He says, you want to say this? You want to say this? He sets it all up for you, you know? So Bilal Muhammad sucks too. I just want to say this real quick. Bilal Muhammad gets an opportunity to go on the weigh-in show a few weeks back, hanging out with DC. DC always giving these guys opportunities. They're always blowing it. And Bilal Muhammad, as if his dumbass friend, the biggest, one of top 5 biggest dumbasses in the UFC, Brandon Allen, as if his dumbass friend didn't put his foot in his mouth enough and have to get slapped down by Daddy Ali. Because remember in the press conference, he goes, well, blah, 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 blah. He's already scheduled to fight. And Ali says, I'm not supposed to call out guys that are scheduled to fight. So I guess I fucked up there. Sorry about that. Remember that?
I didn't hear about that. That's hilarious.
Because you don't watch Brendan Allen press conferences because you're dumber for it if you do. But Brandon Allen, I think he called out Dricus Du Plessis after, or somebody else, right? After his one win. He definitely called out Dricus, but I think it might have been somebody else too. And then they asked him about it afterwards, and he goes, well, he's actually already scheduled to fight, and I shouldn't have done that. Ali actually got mad at me. So he's got somebody who's trying to advise him and tell him what to do and what not to do and smacking him when he's stupid. But he doesn't listen, right? So he calls out Dricus Du Plessis. He's trying to get, after Dricus beats Robert Whittaker, right? 3-1 dog, smashes Robert Whittaker, the greatest of all time in most people's eyes. And you better quiet her down.
Sorry.
And
I thought that was your baby.
You can hear what she's saying, not just. And that could be bad.
I thought that was the baby.
Wife down. I want somebody to quiet my kid down. So he calls out Dricus Du Plessis. And, he just smokes Robert Whittaker. He's obviously fighting for the belt next. He's not doubling back to take care of some unfinished business with Brandon Allen. Who gives a fuck? No one gives a fuck. Brandon Allen. No one thinks that it's necessary for him to double back and take care of you before he goes and fights Izzy. No one. So he's not gonna. And now who's Brandon Allen fighting?
I don't know.
It was announced. I forget.
You brought up Bilal Muhammad and got on to Brendan Allen.
Bilal Muhammad said that on the weigh-in show that Daniel Cormier so generously gets him the opportunity on, right? He gets him the opportunity on it so generously of DC, and he blows it. And he's sitting there trying to hype up his buddies, trying to, guys he trains with, he's trying to give. And it's you can do that sometimes when it's when there's already a wave going in that direction. But if you're trying to build a wave, you're Bilal Muhammad trying to build a wave for Brandon Allen on the fucking weigh-in show. You might
let me guess. Bilal Muhammad's yeah, my guy Brandon Allen, he's got to fight Dricus. He's got to fight Dricus next.
It was something like they were saying who's next in the middleweight division, like because the middleweight fight was on that night, and DC, they're all just like talking about who they think, and he goes, "Well, I think Driscoll is fighting Brandon Allen next." He's fighting Brandon Allen next, and then DC's like, "No, he's not," and Din Thomas is like, "No, he's not," and they're like, "What are you talking about?" I mean, they got all annoyed at him because like they don't want to make it be made seem like they didn't know information that is like, oh, that's big news. You know what I mean? So they're like, he's like, no, I'm pretty sure. He's like, no. They were like all annoyed at him. It was hilarious. But so I wanted to message Bilal when I found out Brandon Allen's fighting somebody else. Oh, Paul Craig. That's who he's fighting. Paul Craig. Paul Craig coming off a loss, coming down in weight class, coming off. That'll get you that title shot. That'll get you to Driscoll.
He's off a win. He just beat Andre Muniz.
Oh, that's right. He's coming off the loss at 205,
but they both just beat Andre Muniz. So it's like a nothing fight in reality.
Who actually beat Andre Muniz? That's
an American and a Scotsman took a Brazilian down and showed him what for in the grappling department. And Andre Muniz is like, I'm the best at grappling. It's like, you're soft and you stink at grappling and you can't even defend yourself against anybody. So,
Luke, didn't you say you were going to put up a hate list behind you? Where's the hate list? I thought you said that last episode.
I got to figure out how
you're going to like write it out in your own blood or something.
I think I'm going to do it here.
All right, let's get a power rankings.
Okay, our guys, not our guys.
Let's get our top 5 power rankings right now. Most hated fighters in the UFC. Go.
Dustin Poirier, Stephen Wonderboy Thompson.
Ian Gary.
Chris Curtis.
No, I don't hate Chris Curtis.
Because you're too amused by him.
Nina Asaroff. Nina Nunes, and Angie Hill.
Angie Hill. Okay. Dan, you go.
Kamaru Usman, Israel Adesanya.
We got something. Francis Ngannou. Who else? Sadiq Youssef? Anybody else?
Oh, I love Sadiq Youssef.
What do you like?
Man, 2 win. You're drawing conclusions like crazy. They're obviously the 2 fakest guys. Let's see. That's all I got for now. I'll come back to it.
All right. Not Ian Gary? You don't hate Ian
Gary?
No,
I'm amused by Ian Gary. It's the same thing for Chris Curtis for Luke. I'm amused
what
by
he did to Neil Magny, he completely gaslighted Neil Magny. This was Neil Magny up there.
I didn't do this stuff. This is not me. I'm fighting for my life.
That was Neil Magny when Ian Gary was done with him at that press conference. He was, and then he was worse when the fight was done. He's worse than R. Kelly is now after the fight's done. Neil Magny better off in jail.
Neil Magny might go home and beat his kids. And Neil Magny might go home and beat his kids after that performance. He might be like, damn, I got to get some lessons in.
That's fucking illegal.
Some lessons. He's like, we need to start training. He's like, I gotta stop yelling. He's like, kids, get the gloves. We need to start training. Apparently, it
is not so easy to beat up your son.
This is truly the worst episode of all time. We're not even doing a Patreon one. All right, Raul Rosas Jr., Terrence Mitchell. This is crazy. What have we been doing? We're sifting through ashes at this point. Let us know what you think in the comments, guys. I don't know. I mean, if you want more like this or less like this, either way, you gotta let us know. Terrence Mitchell coming off his UFC loss to Cameron Simon. Not a good look. Cameron Simon obviously is elite like Dricus Du Plessis, but you don't want to be getting knocked out first round Cameron Simon like that,
Short notice though.
He's still a dainty young lad, you know what I mean? He's still a dainty young lad. But now we got another dainty young lad coming after him. This one's a little bit less dainty than Cameron. This one is El Nino Problema, and I'm not talking about Jake Paul. I'm talking about one Raul Rosas Jr.
The boy, the kid problem.
The boy who cried wolf. Boy who said he was ready for Aljamain Sterling. Turns out you ain't even ready for Sugar Sean because you can't even beat Christian Rodriguez. 4 months ago, he was decisioned. He got beat. He has a blemish. I think that's going to be a gigantic hit to the 18-year-old's confidence. But also 18-year-olds are dumb and they are able to really quickly and easily forget things and put them in the past. You ever talk to an 18-year-old kid and then they'll say how good they are at a sport and one of their friends will be like, yeah, but you struck out last week. And be like, all right, but they didn't remember that. Their friend had to bring it up. You know what I mean? They already tunnel vision. They already forgot that shit. So
I don't talk to too many 18-year-olds personally.
You hang out. You're hanging around the campus. You're hanging around. You're hanging out. You're hanging around the campus. You're hanging around the quad.
What campus are you near?
Don't dude. Don't worry about it. I think it's an online school.
University of Phoenix.
Yeah, I was about to say that's where I am.
Chat rooms on the
Chat rooms. Yeah.
It's all online these days, guys. Me and my classmates, we have a lab.
This is the best episode ever. This isn't the worst episode ever. It has transformed into the best.
We definitely got to move the Patreon back a day or something. We're getting into the nitty gritty here.
We can do it. Let's do it after the weigh-ins Patreon this week. How about that?
All right, that sounds good.
Unless you guys got plans on Friday or whatever. But I'm
good. I'm good for it.
Okay, you're good for it. All right, we'll do it after the weigh-ins Patreon. There you go.
Yeah, because you guys are married and have kids. Some people actually do things with their Friday night, you fucking losers.
Hey, bro.
It won't be Friday.
We're not talking nighttime.
It'll be Friday afternoon. We'll all take a summer Friday.
Some of us have work.
Summer Friday, last one of the year. 3:00 end time at work on Friday. That's
Well, no, I can't do 3:00.
We're going to end work. We're going to stop working at 3. We'll start the cast around 4. 4:05.
4:30. Yeah.
I'm still stopping working at 3.
I gotta get home. I gotta go home.
Have you ever heard of Summer Fridays? It's just a joke. Gosh.
Just a joke.
All right, but I'm gonna take Terrence Mitchell. This is actually going to be
proved you couldn't get past a young whippersnapper, and they're giving him another one.
A younger whippersnapper, which is too young of a whippersnapper, if you ask me. This whippersnapper is far too young for my liking. I think Terrence Mitchell, he comes in overweight. They got both these fellas coming in. Terrence Mitchell, he's got the steam coming out of his ears. He's an old man. He's going to actually do what Neil Magny promised, and he is going to beat up this guy from across the pond. Oh, wait, no. Raul Rosas Jr. I was thinking of Cameron Simon because I think I might have taken Terrence Mitchell in that one as well. But I'm taking Terrence Mitchell now. He's going to beat the shit out of Raul Rosas Jr. He's going to beat him like he's his son. Shout out to Neil Magny.
No, he's going to get choked out. But
yeah,
so Christian Rodriguez is fighting Cameron Simon next. So Christian Rodriguez beats Raul Rosas Jr. They give him Cameron Simon. So they clearly think Raul Rosas Jr., young whippersnapper, Cameron Simon, also young whippersnapper. They feel them to be apples and apples.
Freshman fights. Yeah. You're trying to be too interesting, Alex. Obviously, he's going to get choked out. Rosas is going to do his thing. Mitchell's not that good. It's pretty simple. Way too overthinking this one.
I don't think he's thinking enough. I don't think Alex is thinking enough. You know what I mean? I think he's just throwing this out.
Either end of the spectrum.
Why do you? Terrence Mitchell got knocked out by Cameron Simon.
Because Raul Rosas Jr. looks like Frankenstein. He's ugly. He's not good at fighting. He lost his last fight. He stinks. We tried to crown him the next hot new thing just because he's 18 years old. Guess what? A lot of these guys who come in when they're hella young, burn out quick, die quick, end up getting kicked out of the UFC and coming back.
Okay.
I don't think that's a good year, but
I mean,
you don't think so? What about Robbie Lawler?
We're narrative crafting.
Robbie Lawler.
Robbie Lawler was in the UFC early.
Marketing to something 20 years ago. Let's move on. We got Fernando Padilla, El Valente versus Kyle the Monster Nelson. A guy that I feel as though, maybe I'm wrong, but I feel like Dan is just chomping at the bit to pick Kyle Nelson. Are you?
No, not for this fight. Bad matchup for him.
Didn't you pick him against Blake Builder?
Yeah, and I fucking won. So it was a good pick on my part.
No, you did.
And this is a good time to fade him, though. This is a good time to fade him. And if anyone's gonna,
I was blown away. Blake Builder, I was parlayed to the tits with Blake Builder. I did not in a million years think Kyle Nelson was gonna beat Blake Builder.
Yeah. So as someone who's not probably the only non-Kyle Nelson hater in the whole sphere here, take it from me. This is the fight to fade him. I feel like, these fights where it's Nelson versus a guy who's equally durable, equally going to bring the fight to their opponents, that's a fight where Nelson is going to lose, because you don't have to be all that technical to have better technique than Kyle Nelson. And if you're going to go head to head, you're going to have that same tenacity, that same toughness, that same durability. Having a little bit more technique is going to get you the edge. And I feel like that's what Fernando Padilla is going to bring to this fight. So Kyle Nelson going back to the red, back in the red, back to the losing column. So if you missed him for that Blake Builder fight, it's gone. It's gone. It's not coming back. So we got to wait, if he's still in the UFC after this fight, for another opportunity like that. It's not going to be on Saturday night.
Yeah, Fernando, he came into the UFC, struggled against actually that was before the UFC. He lost against Spike Carlisle. That might have got him back into transition. Guys, he fought Dan Ige with only 6 professional MMA fights. This guy has fought against some good fighters. Not great, but good fighters. Spike Carlisle stinks, though. I would imagine that Spike Carlisle probably won the first round like 10-8, and then it got very close in the next 2. I'm going to go with Fernando Padilla here. I've never really liked the monster very much. I think I steadily bet against him, and he's only burned me a couple times in the UFC, so you got to go with Fernando here.
I liked how he looked against Juicy J. I was picking Juicy J. I figured Juicy J is enough of a vet, competent, skilled, hearty, athletic, long, crazy. I thought he would school him, and he got knocked out. So I'm gonna go with Fernando Padilla to get the win over Kyle Nelson. He's never been finished, and I don't think Kyle Nelson's going to be the one to do it. So give me Fernando Padilla. All right, next up we got – sorry, I'm trying to get back to it. We got Daniel, the Golden Boy Zellhuber versus Christos Giagos. Easy pick for me. I mean, this is the one that they fucking built the whole card around. Don't let him fool you. This is the main event. Daniel Zellhuber, the Golden Boy. Yes, he lost to Trey Ogden. Kind of a weirdo fight, though. Almost like one that like he was like, let me just get this one loss just to take the pressure off a little bit, But I don't like the loss to Trey Ogden by any means, but it's just kind of statistically what's going to happen. First fight off the Contender Series in the UFC, young guy. I'm willing to forgive it is kind of my point. I like Giagos. I like Giagos a lot, but I just think that some of the more subtle attributes, some of the measurables are going to come into play here, and it's going to be Zellhuber that comes away with the victory as a result. Because if you just look real quick before I give these guys the mic, the measurables, these measurables are so important. 6'1" versus 5'10", 77-inch reach for 71.5. Now, I did not look at those beforehand. This is just me having an image of who Christos Giagos is in my mind and an image of who Daniel Zellhuber is in my mind. And in my head, when they get into the cage, Zellhuber's faster. Zellhuber's bigger. He's more athletic. He's stronger. He's overall just in a better position, primordially, evolutionarily, and brass tacks. You know what I mean? The car is a better car. He's a Ferrari versus a Mustang right now, and he's faster and he's better, and it's going to take a lot for Giagos to overcome all of those measurables. So give me Zellhuber, the Golden Boy.
I think it's more of a Miata versus a Mustang here. This is going to be raw American steel against a very skinny boy. Skinny boy taken down, roding out. You lost to Trey Ogden. Christos Giagos, I think, is better than Trey Ogden. I'm going to go with Christos Giagos here. He's burned me a couple times. I always have bet against him, except for I would think I took Thiago Moises against him. But if I remember correctly, that was a short notice bout. But all the other guys he's fought in the UFC, pretty decent guys. He's got good experience. He only loses to pretty good guys, Arman Sarukian, Thiago Moises, Drakkar Klose, Charles Oliveira. But everybody else he's faced in the UFC has been a lot easier for him. And every single time I don't bet on him, I'm like, how did I not remember this guy? And it's because he's got a lame-ass Tapology picture. that does not look like him in real life whatsoever. In reality, he looks a little bit more like a Blake Builder type, a little bit more like a Midwest Choppa type. He's a pretty tough guy, but in his Tabology picture, he looks like he's from Greece.
Yeah, Giagos, right? Giagos. I think Christos Giagos is one of these guys where he's very fortunate in the fact that his losses have come from these, champions, title contenders, really high level guys. But at the end of the day, I don't think he's, of that echelon whatsoever. I feel like if Daniel Zellhuber gets into a bad situation, Charlie Zelenoff is going to come in and save the day and sucker punch his ass and get Zellhuber, I should say, back into the fight. The Z boys are going to be in there to win it. But all jokes aside, folks, I think Giagos is, he's 20-10 for a reason. Obviously, he's got those quality losses, but as we've said in the past, I hate counting a loss as like something that's positive for someone's record. You lost, that's it. 20-10. Daniel Zellhuber is, he's a highly touted prospect, and I think this is a setup fight in many, many ways that the UFC is looking to capitalize on. So give me Daniel Zellhuber, the A side to this fight.
All righty. Luke gave his pick. We're gonna have to check the Zellhuber tape after this because I think Giagos is gonna come from the grassy knoll.
I like it.
Thank you. Next up, we have Jack Della Maddalena versus Kevin Trailblazer Holland. Dan, why don't you take us through this one first?
Woo! It's always a crazy pick when it's a Kevin Holland fight, right? Who knows what's going to be coming out there? Bah!
Exposed. Israel Adesanya actually has a dog fetish. Crazy proof. You must share this.
Lay it on me.
This is the MMA Guru 3 minutes ago. I get notifications.
Is that him?
I'm definitely watching that right after this.
I clicked the bell, and you should too on the Perfect Parlay Pursuit channel. Click the bell and donate to the MMA Guru and let him know the Perfect Parlay Pursuit sent you.
In a friendly way.
Yes. Say the Perfect Play Pursuit is watching.
But in a little bit of a less friendly way, say the same thing to Ian as well. Say the same thing to Ian Gary. Say the same thing to all of our enemies.
Don't do that. Don't encourage. Guys, you can let them know.
Just less friendly. I'm not saying to be unfriendly. I'm just saying to be a little less friendly. Say, hey, the PPP boys don't like you or something like that. I don't know.
You don't even need to say that, boys. Guys, be nice to everybody and always encourage positivity amongst all things. Because you know what, Alex? If you hold a stone in your hand, and you go to throw that stone, it's going to burn you, okay? So don't pick up hot stones. Just let them all live and let live. But next we got Kevin Trailblazer Holland, a man who was throwing a hot stone or two at me in his day. When you see
personally,
when you see Stephen Wonderboy Thompson TKO retirement, I used to think that was people being dicks. Like when a guy got beat so bad, they go fucking retirement. You know what I mean? Like he got knocked out so bad. That was just a fucking retirement.
But we should do that more often. We should do that.
Never fought again. It was like he got retired. Turns out, I guess that's just the term for quitting on your stool.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, right. Like Max Robskov.
Bro, I literally thought people were just being mean to Max Robskov, but now I see on Kevin Holland's record, it says a loss to Stephen Wonder Old Man Thompson 8 months ago when Wonder Boy had gray hairs in his fucking head and was old as dirt, and I bet $1,000 on Kevin Holland as a fucking even money dog to win against Stephen Wonder Boy Thompson. Or maybe
and the pure irony of this, Luke.
Either way.
The pure irony of this is that you thought that Kevin Holland was going to retire Stephen Wonderboy Thompson and he was never going to come back again. But instead,
I had a hot stone in my hand. I wanted to throw it. I wanted to throw it at Wonder Boy. And Wonder Boy burned me that night. It was me who was burnt. But I'm Daenerys Stormborn. I'm unburnt. I'm the unburnt. And I have risen from those ashes. And I almost made a pretty penny off Wonder Boy's demise last time, but he took the coward's way out, everybody. He chose not to fight Michelle Pereira. And I said, don't pay him. And Dana White said, no problem. We're not going to pay him a cent. Don't worry. And he said, we're going to give him Ian Gary. Enemy of your enemy is your friend, right? Now, Dana White was going to put my two least favorite fighters against one another, forcing someone to lose. And Ian Gary, if you watch Chael Sonnen's channel, has come out and said that fight is happening next. He says 100% he's fighting Wonderboy next. So we'll see what happens there. I'm open for the Tony Ferguson double knockout in that affair.
But Chael Sonnen gets duped all the time. I'm sure if I texted him from my number and said, hey, it's Ian Gary, I'm fighting Stephen Wonderboy Thompson next, he would be like, sweet, Ian Gary, do you want to come get a steak with me sometime? And then I'd show up and be like, hey, it was me. I found out that's a quick way to become your friend, so I decided to do it.
Well, my point is, Kevin Holland, I think that after I saw that commercial where him and Wonderboy are in the cage and they're literally co-mingling and coordinating and like fixing the fight, like
which is illegal, right?
Which is illegal, yeah. And it's in the Cuervo commercial. They're like, he's like, hey, you want to come to my house after? And he's like, and the ref's like, can I come too? And it's like, this is a problem. Like this is not funny. That commercial was a gigantic error. It was terrible. Like
all you needed was James Krause in the corner.
What it was it could have been truth in plain sight. Because you know that the deep level Illuminati, when they do a high level scam on the public, what they like to do is to reveal it in front of the public in a mainstream way, like Stranger Things, right? MK Ultra really was a thing. They really did do that, and now they're just showing it to you, like, haha, we did it. But they show it to you so that you think, oh, that's just crazy stuff, like from Stranger Things on Netflix, so that you go, ha, yeah, and then it kind of becomes a part of your mind that accepts it like it never happened almost. And now when they show that fight of him and Wonderboy, because what happened was him and Wonderboy allegedly had a backroom deal to not do any grappling and to just do striking. That's not on the up and up, everybody. You sign a contract and you agree to fight mixed martial arts. You're agreeing to bring all your skills to the table. And if you're making some backroom deal, people bet money on this fight. And people had an assumption that it was going to be competed on the up and up in a fair way. And when Kevin Holland is quite literally letting Wonderboy up from a advantageous position, letting him up into an advantageous position, and then retires on his stool, quits on his stool, literally controlling exactly the moment when the fight ends, having an injury that his opponent also had a broken hand. Wonderboy had a broken hand as well, everybody. I hate to break it to you. So I think that there is at least grounds for an investigation, given what we know about Krause, given what we know about Maddalena, given what we know about what's already going on.
Wait, what did Maddalena do?
Listen, I don't know what anybody did. I love Krause and I say free Krause, but I'm just saying with what we know about the investigations going on now, and when we see the commercial where they're doing truth in plain sight level revealing of information to us, where they're basically saying, like, look, we commingled in the fight, we agreed, we made agreements in the fight, we're showing you right now, and then they're after the fight, they're cheersing and they're making money together on the commercial. They're like, we're on a movie set, we're making cheers, look at us, nobody knows, pulled the wool over, pulled the mask over everybody's eyes. And when you think about it, it's really no different than robbing a bank. It's no different than going into a bank with a gun, putting it in the teller's face.
Wait, Luke, wasn't your whole
circle here?
Wasn't your whole bet? Wasn't your whole idea for the bet that you were going to be the one robbing the bank, and your bank got robbed? Is that what you're telling me?
I think I was exactly, like, it was almost like an inside job setup kind of thing. Like my partners turned on me, and everybody turned on everybody, and then at the end of the day, the teller and the robber were in cahoots with the cops, and now I'm dead. I'm Mr. Blue.
And we really got to think about how does Dana White feel about this commercial and what happened in that fight, because just the other day he was talking about
they made a pre-fight agreement. If they made a pre-fight agreement and then they do a commercial where during the fight they're doing in-fight agreements and coordinating with each other. I mean, as somebody who lost money by Kevin Holland specifically selecting the exact moment when the fight ends and how and who the winner is himself, him deciding that, no doctor, Kevin Holland decided that. So all of a sudden now I'm losing money because Kevin Holland decided to not only not use his jiu-jitsu against an incompetent on the ground, but also decided exactly when the fight was going to end. I'm just saying, let's look into this. I'm literally joking, but I'm also, but now that I'm talking about it, I'm like kind of convincing myself
every joke lies in truth, Luke. And if these guys want to sit here and make backdoor agreements, it's just the same as what Dana White was talking about with Merab. He says, we're here to find out who the best fighter is. We're not here to find out who's the best kickboxer. We're trying to find out who's the best fighter. And if you're here to do other things, then this isn't the place for you. And I feel that way about Stephen Wonderboy Thompson. I feel that way about Kevin Holland right now. I'm very disenchanted by Kevin Holland right now.
All right, so Kevin Holland lives in Texas. Marijuana is illegal in Texas.
It is illegal.
Okay. So
you're going to narc on him to get back at him?
I'm not narking on anybody. I'm just saying if you're willing to break the law, because he's smoking weed on, and listen, I'm not even saying he's smoking weed. I'm just saying he says he does. Where are you smoking it, Kev? I'm just saying, you're willing to break one law. Maybe, why aren't you willing to break other laws? I'm just saying, guys, check his friends' DraftKings accounts. If there is a bet that is Stephen Wonderboy Thompson by finish on any of their accounts,
fourth round, especially fourth round. If you
fourth round, that's a smoking gun, baby. That's the nail in the coffin. That's the biggest red flag, and that's the red herring, and any other red-handed, red herring. I mean, whatever terms you want to use, that's that. And
let's check Stephen Wonderboy Thompson's friends too, because who's to say that they didn't plan this whole thing out? If they were planning on just having a kickboxing match, who's to say they didn't script the whole thing?
Hey, I heard Chris Weidman's surgeries were damn expensive. Brother-in-law right there. Woo!
And listen, just because
you can gamble in New York, no?
Just because you do it for a good reason doesn't mean it's any less naughty. Listen, guys, I'm just saying the commercial.
Look into it.
The fact that they made money fighting each other, they made money doing a commercial with each other. I want to wet my beak. Where's mine? Where's my taste? I lost. I didn't do anything wrong. I picked. Let's look at the measurables here. Kevin Holland is 30 years old. Kevin Holland is.
What are we doing? We're doing the fight on Kevin Holland.
Kevin Holland is 6'3". Kevin Holland is 6'3". Stephen Wonderboy Thompson is 40 years old. Fighters that are 10 years older than their opponent lose at a rate of 99.999% of the time. Last time I checked that statistic that I made up. But he is 3 inches shorter. People, guys, this is a statistical anomaly of the highest order. People, as historians, are going to look back on this fight, this one, and say, why was Kevin Holland the last person Wonderboy Thompson beat in his entire career? They're going to wonder that. And that's all I'm saying. And we'll continue to talk about this on the show until I get an answer, or until I get $4,225 Venmo to me.
The Orlando screw job, Sometimes the guy's meant to go out there and get his hand raised, and somebody says otherwise.
And it's the commercial where they're talking and they're colluding and it's rubbing it in my face. They show the commercial on repeat they keep showing the commercial, guys.
It's like if you're in a fantasy league and your friend trades his top 3 picks to somebody for their bottom 8, and then they make a video about it and then make it like this funny thing about how they planned it all along, that they were going to team up and beat everybody, beat every single person. Not a single person bet on.
And now let's say they split the prize money. I mean, essentially that's insider trading. That's felony stuff we're talking about here. It's felonies, like this high level.
I mean, if James Cross,
it's dime store crook shit, but it's punishable, just like you could punish anybody, doing financial crimes.
If the FBI is investigating James Krause, we need to investigate a lot more people in this sport.
Krause, and I'll say it again.
He's the tip of the iceberg.
Krause isn't the villain that people want to make him out to be. Okay.
Well. He is a villain.
He's taking the fall for, bigger. Krause
refs, judges, fighters.
Krause is not evil.
I beg to differ. I
don't believe Krause is evil.
But he is the tip of the iceberg, Luke.
He's a white hat. Listen, he's justified. He's kind of a gray hat. He's like justified.
No, that's Santino DeFranco. He is a gray hat, whereas James Krause is a black hat. Santino plays both sides a little bit,
Don't even mention that. Don't even mention Santino.
Oh, I forgot that episode has been wiped.
What?
I didn't wait. No, it's not wiped. not hype. But
all right, well, fair enough. But I'm saying James Grasso is the tip of the iceberg. Coaches are the tip of the iceberg. After that, what comes after that? Refs, judges, fighters.
the tip of the iceberg, isn't that like the pinnacle, like the tip of the spear? Isn't it like the important?
No, it's just a small top, but there's a lot more iceberg underneath.
Right. And that's the part that sticks out of the water that you can see. But
Yes.
what's underneath is what's actually the
The
of
judges, the
you can
refs,
tip off and the whole fucking
and the fighters.
there. You got to get down into the ice and figure out who's.
You're telling me a coach? You're telling
Get
me
in that ice, Lukey.
You're telling me that
I know the Wim Hof method. Of the three of us, I'm the only one who's getting in that ice.
You're telling me that a coach is the only guy, a coach who only knows about like 19 different fighters at once. He's the guy pulling all the strings in the back. James Krause is the puppet master? No. You got to worry about the fighters. You got to worry about the refs. You got to worry about the judges.
These fighters are crooked. All right, let's move on. You know what else is crooked? Jack Della Maddalena's fucking nose. He fights Kevin Holland. I can't even say his name without literally wanting to launch into a tirade about how he should be a Just take me out for a second. Get into the breakdown. I'll come in.
All right.
I'm taking Kevin Holland. Kevin Holland's the better striker. Della Maddalena, listen, Alex, no offense, but if your buddy is taking him toe-to-toe, I'm going to go with Kevin Holland here. No offense, buddy, but come on now. You were beating that guy's ass, right? That's what you were saying. You were beating his ass.
Never once.
You were saying some stuff, so
I never said that, and don't ever say that. Because I was trying to get him on the show one day. And if he maybe that's more of a reason for him to get on, actually. If he thinks that one of us thinks that they can kick his ass, and I think it should be you, though. I mean,
you think I should say it? What's his name?
Basil Hafez.
Basil Hafez. I hope I said that stupid freaking name right, because I'm talking to you, Bucko. You're going down. You're coming on the show 2 weeks from now to break down these fights. But guess what? I'm gonna break you, Bucko. You're going down, all right? Because if Alex can beat you, I can beat you. Now we're all taken out here. I'm the only one. Yeah, if the Euro Hunter King can take you down, the Batman is most assuredly taking that ass down. With that being said, the Smack Man cometh. He's coming for UFC Noches, and he's going to bring us a lot of money. Kevin Holland.
Dan, as disrespectful as that was to my dear personal friend Basil Hafez, and I would never say I could beat you up. Dan is the only one who thinks he can beat any UFC fighter up here. I guess Luke does think he can beat up a couple of UFC fighters as well. 3, 4, 5. Okay. All right. But I will say that Basil definitely exposed a lot with this Jack Della Maddalena guy. He's fought some decent guys, you know, Randy Brown, he kind of crumples under the pressure. Danny Hot Chocolate Roberts, a lot to be desired. He leaves himself open quite a bit. Ramzan Ameev, yeah, good fighter. Anji Lusa, who has been on a little bit of a tear himself. But regardless, I just think that the range, the distance, and I think Kevin Holland holds a lot of power in those long, scraggly arms of his. I think that he is going to be able to put Jack Della away. Although I would love to go with Jack Della because he's not skinny guy. He's thick guy, thick neck. I don't think that, it's going to be an easy fight by any stretch of the imagination. But I think that Kevin Holland is going to be able to keep his distance, make sure that Jack doesn't uncork one of those bombs on him. And that, Kevin Holland is a lot better version of Randy Brown. And we can all agree on that. And he's not going and he's going to be in Las Vegas. He's not going to get any chlamydia from koalas or anything of that nature. He is going to go out there full of energy, full of steam, and roll through Jack Della. Jack Della should have a loss on his record, but another loss on his record, but Basil got robbed in that last fight.
I agree. I think Jack Della gets finished here somehow, some way. Kevin's going to get it. But here's the problem is that Kevin is rich now, and rich makes a man lazy, and Kevin is inherently lazy because he's a BJJ guy, so he'll sit in his fucking guard and be on his back and lose a fight that way to a guy like Jack who's not going to fall for his bullshit. You know what I mean? In the same way that
Luke, before you continue, now I finally agree with Dan Miragliotta. The fighter shouldn't be allowed to talk during the fight. After seeing that commercial, the fighter should not be allowed to talk.
That's the problem, is that like I love the idea that you can
I loved it too.
I feel like if I was in there, I could break a guy like throughout the fight with talking. Like I feel like if I would be like saying things that would be so like I feel like I could really hurt their feelings. You know what I mean?
I think hurting someone's feelings is very important.
I would say it at the perfect moment. You know what I mean? Like I would know, like okay, because like when you're doing jiu-jitsu and like some guy's fighting real hard for something, he doesn't get it, and then you reverse him, and you can just kind of feel him sink and be like, he knows like it's gonna be a while before he gets out now, and he's like his whole morale is depleted. Doing jiu-jitsu, you can't really like whisper in their ear like you're fucking mine. I own you. Like you can't like say things like that. It's like you're paying the membership fee. But if it was in a UFC fight and you could say like fucked up shit to them like in those moments, I feel like that would.
I think the best thing to say would be kicking someone in the nuts and then acting like you're Robert Whittaker and being like, oh, I'm so sorry, I'm Robert Whittaker. Oh, I'm so sorry. Let's bow. And then as soon as we go in for the hug after the nut tap, I'm gonna be like, I did that on purpose, you little fuck.
I'm gonna be like, next one's gonna be way harder. I'll take the point. Like say shit like that. Like yeah, like psychological games. Like you know what I mean?
And then it's
kind of like what I just did to Basil. Like Basil's already losing because I'm already in his head.
Khabib was like, just let me just come on, brother. Like it's over. I need to fight for title, brother. Remember that when he's beating up on Michael Johnson? I would be the whole time with me. I'd be like, you're done, dude. Just give up. Just let me choke you out. You're done. This is stupid. People think you look stupid right now. I'd be like, look at you. I would be like hitting them gently, like they'd be like covered up and stalling. You know what I mean? I'd be like, bro,
you'd hit him with the Roy Nelson Kimbo slice.
But instead of counting like 1, 2, like that's obnoxious and annoying. But I would be like like getting in their head deep. I'd be like, you look so dumb. The whole crowd thinks you look dumb. Like stupid. Like they think you look corny. Like I'd make them feel self-conscious. I'd be like, they think you look ugly and corny and uncool. Like I do high school level stuff. That's what I'm trying to
and say. You're fat.
Bullying. Yeah, I'd be like, you look so silly, and you look silly at the weigh-ins yesterday too. Everybody thought so. I'm like, dude, I'm like, I heard Dana saying it. You know what I mean? I'd like,
it was so easy to reverse you, dude. I just grabbed that love handle and flipped you over. It was cake, man.
Like, oh my god, I'm like, oh my god, Mel Gibson's right there. You can't see him, but Mel Gibson's right there, and he's laughing at you. Mel Gibson's in the front row, and he's fucking laughing at you, dude. Okay,
beautiful.
Kevin Holland, but not confident in it because I never know what to expect from him, and he's fighting in a foreign country, and yeah. Okay.
No, he's not. This is in America.
Oh, true. I got confused because we're going to Australia this weekend,
they're gonna have Jack Della playing with rattlesnakes just to get back at him.
Now it's deaf Kevin Holland. He's driving from Texas to Vegas, dude. Like it's 100% Holland.
They're gonna have Jack Della Maddalena playing with like rattlesnakes and scorpions from the Nevada desert, just like they did Randy Rude Boy Brown with their koalas, those STD infested koalas they have.
I mean, Kevin Holland by submission is the play.
I would think. I would think so, but who knows? Maybe
Blake on the feet too, and he's got a 10-inch reach advantage. This is going to look ridiculous when they are actually in there against one another. This is going to look absurd.
It will,
because he's taller and got so much reach on him, and his takedown defense. I mean, Kevin is getting better and better and better at that takedown defense. You know,
and Jack Della, no takedown defense. He's going to try to pull for a guillotine.
Look like Sugar Sean versus Aljo. Kevin Holland by knockout. Let's move on. Main event, 5x5, 125. Valentina versus Grasso. We saw it once. We got to go back. We got to watch that first fight again, I think. Because I think a lot of people don't understand. Let me see. Grasso, Shevchenko, 1 scorecards. I'm going to pull this up. You guys get into your breakdown.
I think Grasso might have won 1 round before she got the finish, but I think she was pretty much losing the entirety of the fight. She had some good moments on the feet. She ended up getting the sub. This is one of these fights like Israel Adesanya versus Alex Pereira, where they could replay this a million times. Alexa Grasso got her Israel Adesanya moment where she choked her out. But this actually, it's more like Pena versus Nunes. Yeah, I think it's going to be a little bit more like that, where, yeah, I want Grasso to win, and yeah, she's probably going to be the dog here, but I think Valentina is going to win. She was winning most of that fight, and then just got stopped kind of out of nowhere. Yeah, I got to roll with Shevchenko on this one. Anybody who's telling you otherwise is just a simp, fanboy, little prick, and just because Alexa Grasso is cute as a button, they decide they have to bet on her. Yeah, I took Alexa Grasso in the last one. Yes, I did. I made money off that. But I don't think she's going to win it again. Lightning doesn't strike twice. This is going to be just like Nunes versus Pena.
Guess you could call me the simp pimp. I'm going with Alexa Grasso here. Lightning often does strike twice. I think it will in this circumstance, especially when it comes to fights. A lot of times we see they win 2 in a row. I think that's the circumstance here. Obviously Shevchenko is one of the all-time greats, but that's because she's coming from one of the original eras of women's MMA. I think her time has come and gone. Definitely in the elder stages of her career. The Euro under King is definitely turning back on his old way of thinking of these MMA fights. Women's MMA. I think this might be even more emphatic of a win for Grasso this time around. Now, listen, am I going to play both sides of this? You know I am.
Danny on the fence.
Danny on the fence. Danny 50 parlay the bet man. We're going with Grasso though as far as the official pick.
Grasso was basically going to go into round 5 with the fight being tied.
Really?
If you give her round 4. So that's the key. We got to go back and we got to watch how was round 4 going before the finish, because she finished her very late into round 4, 4 minutes, 34 seconds into round number 4. So that means that we saw almost 20 minutes of fight time. I want to go back. I want to see specifically round 4. I want to know, was Grasso coming alive and taking over in the later rounds? If that's the case, I'm willing to give Grasso my pick because she won round 1, lost the second 2, but if she was able to win round 4, I would guess she could have won round 5 and would have won the fight by decision.
Was round 1 like a nothing round where there wasn't really a lot going on and they were kind of still feeling each other out?
All 3 judges had it for Grasso 10-9.
Really?
And I think I remember some grappling in that round and her winning the fight of that round. Now, that being said, that's exactly also what happened to Kamaru. Think about it. This fight went exactly like Leon Kamaru, if you think about it. Leon won round 1, finished him in round 4. Or I guess he finished him in round 5. So it went similarly. But, sorry, there's this photo of Paige Van Zandt through the years on the top left corner of this site that I'm using to find the fucking scorecards.
MMA Junkie?
MMAJunkie.USA today. Yeah, that's where I found the scorecards for Gane versus Jones, UFC 285, when this fight took place. So, I'm going to go with... I feel like Valentina is enough of a psycho to really patch the holes, come in, retake the belt. I love Alexa Grasso. I picked her to win that fight. If you remember, I've been keen on fading these big goats. Nunes, I picked Pena the first time when she beat her. Usman, I picked Edwards both times to beat him. Shevchenko, I picked Grasso to beat her. So, of course, I want to be the smart guy in the room again and be like, it's Grasso again. But I really feel of the two, Grasso overperformed and also kind of got lucky in that 4th round when Shevchenko went for that spinning elbow. Now, that spinning elbow is so ingrained. If you watch any embedded, anytime she's with that coach of hers, she's hitting that elbow, that spinning elbow. She's hitting, you know what I mean? It's so ingrained. She's going to do it again. But it's so interesting. It's a very, very interesting fight. I don't want to discredit, disrespect, or do anything to minimize this important, cool main event. Glad it's not a pay-per-view, but it could have been. I would have paid it. I would have paid it because I'm a real UFC fan. Dana White should someday pay attention to how I've been paying way more money than I could ever afford just to not be a law-breaking little creep and to be able to watch the fight in HD with no interruptions. He should take that into account. He's always breaking some off for Aiden Ross, all these fucking Matrix agents. Maybe you fucking give me $10K to fucking go gamble with. Like, what? Like, I'm literally mad that Dana White doesn't give me money to gamble with from time to time. With all that I've done, all the evangelism I've done for the UFC, all the times in college. How many times in college do I gotta, we're all having a pregame and there's nothing on the TV, but I just throw the UFC fight on and I'm watching it. People are going, oh, who are these guys? And I'm talking about it passionately. The pay-per-view's on, I buy it, I get it, I go and I encourage people to chip in. I'm just a big evangelist, you know what I mean? And these fair weather fans, these newcomers, I get it, you know what I mean? They're famous and all that, but they're degenerates. They're contributing to the degeneration of the youth. And I'm not okay with it. I know you're not okay with it, Tucker Carlson. I know you're not okay with it, Dana White. And I think maybe, you give Aiden Ross $100K to waste. Why don't you give me, Dan, and Alex don't even give us any money. Just fucking be like, yo, come to the fights. You guys are clearly the biggest fans of the sport that has ever existed and actually probably contributed to that $4.2 billion valuation. Like, you definitely did. Alex, how much money between me, you, Mom? I mean, we've been in 2 different states and Mom's been at home and she's like, should I buy the pay-per-view? And we're like, buy the pay-per-view. And we've probably bought the pay-per-view 3 times over, more times than people have bought the pay-per-view once.
Oh, 100%.
I'll bet all these fucking people, they show the fucking tweets on the screen. I'll bet Theo Vaughn, I think it was, or was it Chris DiStefano? I don't know. Who cares? Somebody on the Joe Rogan podcast, some comedian, friend of Joe's.
Chris DiStefano, much like Lacerda, better seen than heard.
He was talking about the Jake Paul fight. That's right. It was Chris DiStefano talking about the Jake Paul fight, I think. And was it that maybe? And he said he streamed it illegally or something like that. I forget who it was, but either way, point is
these millionaires breaking crimes.
I don't have a pot to piss in. The most valuable thing I have in my possession is my John Jones autograph, and I'm on the up and up. I pay my debts. I gamble irresponsibly. Kidding. I always gamble responsibly.
Luke, we don't work for a gambling company. You can say whatever you want.
That's true. I have a lot of problems. I'm reunited with all of my... Right. Anyway, I don't even know where we're going. I'm picking Shevchenko to rebound, regroup, and get the job done.
Beautiful.
Foolish.
I think you're a simp loser fool, but that's besides the point.
I'm a simp for Grasso.
I'm a simp for both of them. I think they're both fine mamacitas. They're a little bit out of my age range, but we'll try it out. You can practice your triangle chokes on me, mama. Don't worry about it.
Let's go through it all, top to bottom. I didn't record any of your guys' picks, so I'll have to make sure I do.
All right, you want me to read them really slow?
No, not like you normally do.
Alex, don't be obnoxious about it. That's literally a pet peeve of mine. I don't ever get the opportunity to tell you because we end the show after, and then I don't want to talk to you for a while, so I never get to like.
What? Reading them slow? Or reading them fast? Which way would you like me to read them? I'll read them however you read
them. It kind of pisses me off. Just do it respectfully. Like do it how we do it. Mirror
Yasmin
in my mirror us. Ben, you can go ahead. I'm going to remove it.
Muted, please. All right, from the top, we are going with Alexa Grasso. Not a sim pick, the correct pick. We're then going down to Kevin Holland. More of a sim pick than probably Alexa Grasso. Daniel Zellhuber, Fernando Padilla, Raul Rosas Jr., Tracy Cortez, Edgar Cháirez, Nathan Levy. Holy crap. I'm picking everyone on the left-hand side of Topology here. Roman Kopylov, Lupita Godinez, and Yasmin Lucindo. I don't know if I've ever done that. Everyone on the left-hand side of Topology is picked.
This is Dan's NASCAR play of the year. He's just going to keep turning left. Just
turning left.
Left wing Danny.
That's right.
Dan's full left wing. This is Dan's George Soros pick of the week. Just go left, all the way left, as
All
far
left,
as you can
baby.
go. All right, Alex.
All right, I'll take it from the bottom. Yasmin Lucindo, Lupita Godinez, Josh Fremd, Natan Levy, Edgar Cháirez, Tracy Cortez, Terrence Mitchell, Fernando Padilla, Christos Giagos, Kevin Holland, and topping it off with Valentina the Gun Shevchenko, or the Bullet. Which one is she? Bullet?
The Bullet.
Bullet. But she's got a tattoo of a gun, which is why it's confusing. Because it's like, I thought you were the Bullet. She's like,
Yeah, for sure.
she's the bullet and that's the gun, and she gets shot out of the gun. So the Trophy Certified picks, I'll get to them. Let me give mine first. Yasmin Lucindo, Lupita Godinez, Roman Kopylov, Natan Levy, Edgar Cháirez, Jasmine Judavicius, Rosas Jr., Fernando Padilla, Daniel Zellhuber, Kevin Holland, and Valentina Shevchenko. The Trophy Certified picks going to be Kevin Holland, Fernando Padilla, Edgar Cháirez, Natan Levy, Lupita Godinez, and Yasmin Lucindo.
Which ones are people on an island by themselves?
You're on an island by yourself with Fremd. I'm on an island by myself with Jasmine Judavicius. You're on an island by yourself with Terrence Mitchell. You're on an island by yourself with Christos Giagos. And Dan's on an island by himself with Grasso. So Grasso is Dan's island pick. Jasmine Judavicius is my island pick. So 2 lady fights. Just don't even bet those, folks, if you're at home watching. Don't even bet them. You know what I mean? If there's because if it's a Trophy Certified
Unless
pick,
you're sincerely addicted to gambling, do not bet on women's fights. You're better off betting on ping pong.
And if you're severely addicted to gambling, don't bet on any fights. Go see help. But I would say you should definitely not bet on women's fights if you're severely addicted. But anyway, moving on. Triple B certified picks over the last 2 years are about 70% accurate. We went 4 out of 4 last week. We didn't even talk about this on the show, but 4 out of 4, 68 out of 98 Triple B certified picks. That brings our total year 4 accuracy for Triple B certified picks we all 3 agree on, to 69% in year 4. We finished year 3, 70%. So that means over almost now 100 Triple B certified picks, 98 that we've given in year 4. Combine that with whatever we finish year 3 with, an entire year of Triple B certified picks, we are maintaining a 70% accuracy, finishing last week 100% of the Triple B certified picks we gave on the podcast. We are fucking killing it with Triple B certified picks, and the implied odds of a 70%, the implied American odds, 70% implied American odds.
That's like minus 300.
That is, Dan, yeah, that is 69 point. Okay, so minus 225 American money line, minus 225, that's 69.2% implied probability. Ooh. So if we brought it all the way down to minus 300 to 75%, Dan. So if we brought it down to 66.7% implied probability, which means 4 percentage points lower than the implied probability of the average correct Triple B certified pick, that would mean that if you see a Triple B certified pick and you sense that the odds are minus 225 or below, or I guess I should say minus 200 or below, because that gives you a 4% wiggle room, right? So if it's a 2-1 favorite, or God forbid a fucking dog, you can pretty much say that's like where we should be betting as a unit, as a group. If it's a Triple B certified pick that's minus 200 or better, that's a green light all day in my book. And I even asked ChatGPT that, and ChatGPT at first was like, no. And then I was like, yeah, wait, think about it. And it was like, yes, you're right, actually. I gave it more information. I was like, if all of our picks that we get correct are this percentage implied probability, then if I see a pick that I like and they're giving me odds better than that minus 200, should I bet that? They were like, you would be profitable long term. And I was like, okay, that's all I needed to hear. I had to like really break it down. But yeah, so that's, I know this is high level shit, but if you're watching the show after 2.5 hours, you know, I'm pretty sure you're in for the long haul. And if you're watching the show after 2.5 hours, you should really be in the Patreon because not every episode is 2.5 hours. But if you want 2.5 hours of content, you got to join the Patreon because most episodes are just about 2 hours. Then we go in the Patreon for another hour or so, give you our fine-tooth comb picks. Maybe that's what we should call the Patreon, the Comb Club. The Comb Club, we go through the picks with a fine-tooth comb and go through them a second time. So all these picks we just gave, Shevchenko versus Grasso, we're going to come back next Monday, do it all again on the Patreon. This week, we wasted too much time on this show today. We're going to have to come back after the weigh-ins because it's too late. We got to go tend to our ladies. That's more important than you folks. Sorry, we got to go be ladies, men. But after that...
Disgusting. Don't talk about your personal life at all.
Okay. Well, after that, if I was talking about my personal life, trust me, I wouldn't be. Anyway, talking about the ladies. So we got to... What I'm trying to say, boys, is Friday, check in with us. We're going to watch the weigh-ins show, and then we're going to come here. We're going to meet with you. It's going to be a Friday party on the Patreon. So there's never been a better time to join the Patreon because not only are we going to get our second fucking revisionist history look at the card, but it's going to be up to the minute. It's going to be the day before. All the picks that are going to make it to the event itself are probably going to be in. So this is a really great week to join the Patreon. Get in there for the episode. Get in there for the full year. If you sign up for a month, it really does nothing, means nothing for me. We get feed to death by Patreon. No, I'm kidding, guys. A month is fine. I don't want the people who are monthly members to feel bad. And we actually make more money off the monthly members, but I want you to be in there for the year just so that it hits your credit card once a year. You barely notice it, and it keeps hitting it again and again and again for decades and decades and decades until you're long gone and dead and the credit card is still alive. Anyway, we love you joining us. Those are our picks. Please tune in for our After the Weigh-In show breakdown of UFC 293, Israel Adesanya versus Sean Strickland. A lot's going to happen. A lot's going to change. Let's see what we think. Let's see what happens. Join us in the Patreon this Friday, and we will see you there. Thank you all. Love you. Goodbye.